Chapter 1828. Impressive bad name. One realm pearl was a treasure that he had gotten from a unique place during the 6,000 years when Jian Wushuang had been wandering in the ancient battlefield. Although it was a chaotic divine treasure, it was sometimes more useful than a chaotic divine treasure. One realm pearl could form a realm on its own. It only required willpower to activate it and instantly formed a complete space, just like a formation. In short, it would become formation in one's will. For instance, Emperor God Fan Yuan was running away to a far-off place, but the moment Jian Wushuang activated one realm pearl, it instantly became a complete space and blocked Emperor God Fan Yuan's way. It didn't give him any chance to escape. In the 6,000 years, Jian Wushuang searched through many special places on the ancient battlefield and received many opportunities and treasures. One realm pearl was merely one of them, and it wasn't even the best treasure. After Jian Wushuang killed Emperor Fan Yuan, he knew that Blood Mountain Sword broke through and had the power of a chaotic divine treasure. Jian Wushuang was thrilled. The next target, near Holy Kingdom of White Fog, Jian Wushuang drove his ancient spaceship to the destination of his next target. But he didn't know that there was a hubbub in Sanctuary Alliance because of him. Previously, although Jian Wushuang had started a massacre and killed a total of 7 Sir Gods, they were Sir Gods after all. The power that Jian Wushuang had displayed wasn't as ridiculous, but then, Emperor God Fan Yuan and Emperor God Jin Ming, the 2 experts of Emperor God level, had been killed by Jian Wushuang. Plus, the 2 Emperor Gods weren't killed separately by Jian Wushuang, but they were together and they had teamed up. In the end, they were still killed by Jian Wushuang brutally. One should know, they were Emperor Gods. In eternal chaotic world, there was only a total of over 80 Emperor Gods. Every one of them was heaven and earth supremes. They were a superb existence, but Jian Wushuang had killed 2 at once. What was going on? This is insane. He can even kill Emperor God experts. Jian Wushuang is too scary. 6,000 years ago, he was barely evenly matched with Emperor God Tian Shao. After 6,000 years, his power has improved to such a level? Emperor God Fan Yuan and Emperor God Jin Ming teamed up but couldn't flee from Jian Wushuang's hands. Jian Wushuang's power should have reached the level of peak Emperor God if not mistaken. A real god could be compared favorably with a peak Emperor God? Emperor Bai wasn't even that scary back then. Monster. He's a monster. Jian Wushuang and the other 2 Hall Masters from Lineage of Star obviously wanted to exterminate everyone who harbored grudges against Lineage of Star. Plus, Jian Wushuang is so strong that he could even kill Emperor God directly. Those that they are in big trouble. In Sanctuary Alliance, people were in intense discussion. Everyone made a new evaluation regarding Jian Wushuang's power based on his battle achievements. Peak Emperor God. His fame as Sword Emperor instantly rose to a brand new level. This fame was an impressively bad name. Colored Glaze Sanctuary, Soaring Heaven Land. In an extremely hidden secret room, a purple-robed elderly waited anxiously. Soon, a green-robed young man walked in. Sir God Xianbing. Long time no see. Looking as graceful as ever, the man in the Taoist robe chuckled and said, Sir God Qing Fu, you must be joking. How do I still look graceful? The purple-robed elderly sighed. Sir God Qing Fu raised his eyebrows. He naturally knew Sir God Xianbing's situation and he laughed and said, Sir God Xianbing, you are quite courageous. A sword emperor from Lineage of Star is hunting experts who share great resentment with Lineage of Star. At such a crucial moment, you did not look for a place to hide but came to Colored Glaze Sanctuary instead. Aren't you afraid that Sword Emperor will come and look for you? I am. Of course I am afraid, Sir God Xianbing replied. Because I'm afraid, that's why I seized the time to come and looked for you, Sir God Qing Fu, when Jian Wushuang was still at Sir God Jin Ming's. As for the purpose of my visit, I hope that Soaring Heaven King Palace can take me in. From today, I will follow Soaring Heaven King Palace's lead. Oh! Sir God Qing Fu looked surprised. He had known of Sir God Xianbing's intention long ago, but he didn't point it out. Then, as Sir God Xianbing had said it, he replied, Sir God Xianbing, we of Soaring Heaven King Palace came forward to express our intention to be on friendly terms with you long ago. But then you took a different stance. This, Sir God Xian Bing felt bitter. When Soaring Heaven King Palace had thrown out an olive branch back then, Jian Wushuang had yet to come to eternal chaotic world. Although he had harbored deep-seated resentment, only the Master of Star Palace from Lineage of Star had had the capability to kill him. Due to some restraints, the Master of Star Palace wouldn't come after them on purpose. Plus, Lineage of Stars hadn't been this crazy back then. But now there had been Jian Wushuang's sudden rise and his terrifying power, and he was only a real god. Without scruples, as long as he had a reason, he could massacre wantonly. Sanctuary Alliance wouldn't stop him. The few Sir Gods and Emperor God Jin Ming were only a warning to the others. Emperor God Jin Ming and Emperor God Fan Yuan were killed. Sir God Xian Bing, who did he think he was? Once Jian Wushuang found him, he would definitely be dead. Hence, he could either flee to some remote holy kingdom in eternal chaotic world so that Jian Wushuang couldn't find him, or he could join some major forces and seek refuge. Sir God Xian Bing was obviously the latter. Sir God Xian Bing, I know that you have been forced into a corner by Sword Emperor from Lineage of Star. Luckily, Soaring Heaven King Palace is also in an endless fight with Jian Wushuang. As you're willing to yield to us sincerely, we of Soaring Heaven King Palace will naturally keep you safe. As long as we of Soaring Heaven King Palace announce this, at least when you're in Colored Glaze Sanctuary, Jian Wushuang definitely won't dare to touch a single strand of your hair. Sir God Qing Fu smiled. Thank you, Sir God Qing Fu. Sir God Xian Bing was delighted and he said, before I came to see you, I sent a message to Sir God Qian Ren. If Soaring Heaven King Palace is willing to accept, he and I will join Soaring Heaven King Palace together. Even better, Sir God Qing Fu beamed with joy. Ever since Jian Wushuang had fought with Soaring Heaven King Palace the last time, they had lost 4 Sir Gods and their power had diminished drastically. They were thinking of ways to recruit more Sir Gods to join them, but now were 2 Sir Gods who had come to them instead. Plus, the 2 Sir Gods, Sir God Xian Bing and Sir God Qian Ren weren't weak. Especially Sir God Qian Ren, he was also a top Sir God and he was listed on Heaven and Earth's Supreme Ranking list. Jian Wushuang, you probably never expected Soaring Heaven King Palace to be benefiting from your massacre. Sir God Qing Fu was laughing maliciously from the bottom of his heart. 1. Chapter 1829 Deluge Fortress. Not long after Jian Wushuang killed Emperor God Jin Ming and Emperor God Fan Yuan, Sir God Xian Bing and Sir God Qian Ren announced to the world that they had joined the Soaring Heaven King Palace. In no time, the Sanctuary Alliance was in an uproar again. Jian Wushuang also caught wind of the information immediately. They have actually gone and sought refuge with the Soaring Heaven King Palace? Jian Wushuang frowned. Sir God Xian Bing and Sir God Qian Ren were the experts in his name list. Before Jian Wushuang could find them, they had quickly found someone to back them up. In actual fact, it was not just those 2 Sir Gods. There were also the remaining experts in the name list as well as some experts who were not in the name list but who had a huge grudge with the Lineage of Star. After they became aware of Jian Wushuang's crazy massacre, they knew that they were in danger and they naturally thought of ways to protect themselves. Palace Master, you do not need to go to the Holy Kingdom of White Fog anymore. The Vientiane Tower has just spread news that the Sir God who stayed near the Holy Kingdom of White Fog has already left, Hall Master Yuan messaged. Left? Did the Vientiane Tower find out where he has gone? Jian Wushuang asked. They have found out about it. This Sir God has gone to the Abysmal Sanctuary and it's not just him. Quite a number of the Sir Gods in the name list that I have given you have also gone there, Hall Master Yuan said. The Abysmal Sanctuary? Jian Wushuang was surprised. The Abysmal Sanctuary was one of the 10 sanctuaries and it was very close to the Lineage of Star. At this stage, why had those experts gone to the Abysmal Sanctuary? Could it be that they want to come together and fight the Lineage of Star head-on? Jian Wushuang asked in a cold voice. That looks to be what is going on. Moreover, the Vientiane Tower has also found out that these people have gone to the Deluge Fortress, Hall Master Yuan said. The Deluge Fortress? Fortress Master Hong Tian? Jian Wushuang's expression turned grave. The Abysmal Sanctuary was within the 10 sanctuaries and there were many peak powerhouses as well as experts who traveled alone in it. As for the Deluge Fortress, it was neither a powerhouse nor a sect. Instead, it was a place where an expert who traveled alone lived. However, the Deluge Fortress had a huge reputation in the Abysmal Sanctuary as well as the whole eternal chaotic world. Fortress Master Hong Tian, the founder of the Deluge Fortress, was ranked 36th on the Heaven and Earth Supreme ranking list, and he was a genuine emperor god who stood at the top. It should be known that the Star Palace Master was ranked 31st on the Heaven and Earth Supreme ranking list. Hence, Fortress Master Hong Tian was extremely close to the Star Palace Master. Could it be that Fortress Master Hong Tian has a grudge against the lineage of Star as well? Jian Wushuang questioned. That's right, Hall Master Yuan nodded his head earnestly. However, Fortress Master Hong Tian does not have a grudge against the lineage of Star. Instead, he has a grudge against the Star Palace Master. I have heard that Fortress Master Hong Tian has fought a close-quarter battle with the Star Palace Master twice, and every close-quarter battle was extremely intense. However, as their abilities are not far away from each other, there has never been an outcome. If this is the case, why did you not place Fortress Master Hong Tian on the name list? Jian Wushuang asked with a frown. Palace Master, Fortress Master Hong Tian is a peak emperor god. Even with the Star Palace Master alive, it is still impossible to kill him. Hence, Hall Master Yuan had not finished talking yet. However, Jian Wushuang had already understood. The 16 experts on the name list that Hall Master Yuan had given him were all experts who traveled alone. Moreover, they were experts who Jian Wushuang could kill. However, experts which would involve those big powerhouses, as well as peak emperor gods like Fortress Master Hong Tian, were not included on the name list. After all, be it the experts of those big powerhouses or peak emperor gods, none of them could be killed easily. Looking at it now, Fortress Master Hong Tian probably wants to gather those experts who have a grudge against the lineage of Star. After that, they will team up and go against our lineage of Star, Hall Master Yuan said. Go against us? Them alone? Jian Wushuang's eyes were filled with coldness. For the remaining experts on the name list, apart from a small number of them joining some big powerhouses, the rest of them had gone to the Deluge Fortress. With that, Jian Wushuang had no way to continue his massacre and he returned to the lineage of Star at once. Abysmal Sanctuary, Deluge Fortress. In a vast palace, there were more than 10 thrones standing tall and upright. At the same time, there was a total of 12 people. Among the 12 people, a good number of them were people on Jian Wushuang's name list. As for the remaining people, although they were not on the name list, they had a grudge against the lineage of Star as well. For example, on a throne, there was a purple-robed old man who was 3 meters tall. Jiogong. Jiogong, long time no see. You have actually made a breakthrough already. Congratulations, a Sir God beside him laughed. Real God Jiogong. No, now you should be called Sir God Jiogong. The Jiogong Holy Kingdom under you is not too far away from the 10 sanctuaries. Even so, during Jian Wushuang's massacre, he actually did not look for you. Your luck is really not too bad, some other people said. Jiogong's expression changed slightly and he said, Jian Wushuang's targets are obviously almighties. As for real gods who have grudges against the lineage of Star, they are massacred by the 2 other Sir Gods of the lineage of Star wantonly. Although I have already made a breakthrough, this news remained confidential and no one knew about it. With this, I was able to remain alive. As Sir God Jiogong spoke about that, he was really glad. He was glad that the news of his breakthrough was not made public. If not, the name list that Jian Wushuang had would probably have had his name on it as well. With the massacre, he would probably be dead already. That Jian Wushuang, a junior who has trained for merely tens of thousands of years, actually forced us to such a stage. Not only is he just a junior, he is also a real god. A real god-level inverse cultivator. Even as a real god, he is already so frightening. If he were to make a breakthrough and become an almighty in the future, he would definitely have the fighting capabilities of a great emperor. According to Jian Wushuang's personality, since he has already taken action, he will definitely want to kill all of us. If we are unable to take action in time to kill him and he makes a breakthrough to Almighty in the future, then we can only escape to the remote regions in the eternal chaotic world and hide ourselves for life. This Jian Wushuang must absolutely be killed. In the palace, a clamorous voice. Just then, a figure came into shape slowly on the throne at the highest point of the palace. It was a hale, bald-headed old man. His deep eyes then looked around the area. Greetings to Fortress Master Hong Tian. When the 12 Almighties below saw the person who had come, all of them stood up and greeted him. Please take a seat. Fortress Master Hong Tian waved his hands and the Almighties sat down again. Fortress Master Hong Tian said loudly, all of you should know my motive for gathering you here this time around. The lineage of Star has been threatening us and it obviously wants to kill all those people who have once made enemies with them. To date, quite a number of Sir Gods as well as 2 Emperor Gods have already died in Jian Wushuang's hands. Moreover, the lineage of Star's Hall Master Gu Xian and Hall Master Shi Yun have also taken action personally to kill quite a number of real gods. At this stage, if all of us were to not team up, we would be killed by the lineage of Star one by one. By then, even I would be worried about my life. Chapter 1830 Self-Defense. Fortress Master Hong Tian made the 12 Almighties stunned. If they didn't work together, the 12 of them would definitely be in a life-threatening situation. However, Fortress Master Hong Tian wouldn't be, right? Fortress Master Hong Tian was a true peak Emperor God. He had once fought with the Master of Star Palace twice and he survived both matches. No matter how great lineage of Star's tactics were, it would be impossible that they could kill an expert at the level of peak Emperor God. But, do you think I am joking? Fortress Master Hong Tian saw everyone's expressions and he smirked coldly. Everyone might not know, the reason I could retreat when I fought with the Master of Star Palace was that he never used secret skill of Star Palace. After all, his strongest trump card is secret skill of Star Palace. After he performs it, he will need a long time until he perform it a second time. If he isn't sure that he can kill me, he won't be willing to use his trump card. But then, Jian Wushuang has risen and his strength isn't much weaker than the Master of Star Palaces. He has definitely cultivated secret skill of Star Palace too. Once they join forces and play secret skill of Star Palace, I might not stand a chance to flee either. The 12 Almighties then understood. The scariest part about Lineage of Star was the secret skill of Star Palace. The secret skill was eagerly coveted by many experts in eternal chaotic world. Fortress Master Hong Tian, according to what you said, even if we team up, we won't be evenly matched with Lineage of Star? A Sir God couldn't help but ask. That's true, Fortress Master nodded faintly. So, you were talking about killing Jian Wushuang and destroying Lineage of Star. Forget about that. With us alone, it is impossible. However, if we were to team up, although we couldn't be evenly matched with Lineage of Star, we could defend ourselves well enough. Self-defense? So many of us team up, including you, but we can only defend ourselves. The 12 Almighties were unhappy about it. They harbored deep-seated hatred against Lineage of Star and they were forced to team up. If they teamed up, they not only wanted to defend themselves, they wanted to bring damage to Lineage of Star. It's great enough that we could defend ourselves. Plus, we can wait for a chance to come by, Fortress Master Hong Tian smiled. Just as you have mentioned, Jian Wushuang has high potential and he carries the fighting power of a peak Emperor God at the level of real God. Once he breaks through and becomes an almighty, how much greater can he be? Sanctuary Alliance isn't that united. There are many who wouldn't want to see Jian Wushuang grow stronger. Fortress Master Hong Tian, what you are trying to say is that someone will take care of Jian Wushuang. A black-robed lady creased her eyebrows and asked. Not only Jian Wushuang, but also Lineage of Star. Over all these years, Lineage of Star has grown too quickly and possessed too many resources. Like the saying, a tall tree attracts the wind. There are many who are eyeing secret skill of Star Palace and want to kill Jian Wushuang. They are only waiting for an opportunity to do so. What we are going to do is to defend ourselves together. In no time, Lineage of Star's danger will reveal itself. By then, we can beat a drowning dog. Why not? Fortress Master Hong Tian laughed. Hearing what he had said, everyone exchanged a look and nodded simultaneously. They thought what Fortress Master Hong Tian had said made sense. Fortress Master Hong Tian, the black-robed lady continued to ask, even if we wanted to defend ourselves, lineage of Star and Jian Wushuang are willing to let us be. As for this, Fortress Master Hong Tian smiled. In this world, power rules. As long as we are powerful enough, even if Jian Wushuang doesn't want to stop, he has to. I have already sent a message to Lineage of Star that we are going to meet them on Thunderbolt Island 1 month later. By then we will just go together. Everyone's eyes glowed. They already understood Fortress Master Hong Tian's intention. Fortress Master Hong Tian didn't intend to fight with Lineage of Star. He merely wanted to showcase his team and trump cards to serve as a deterrent force to Lineage of Star, so that they wouldn't act hastily. Hence, he had invited them to go together. On that day itself, the message that Fortress Master Hong Tian sent was heard in Jian Wushuang's ears. Fortress Master Hong Tian has asked for me to meet him on Thunderbolt Island? What is he thinking about? Jian Wushuang smiled, but he made a decision very quickly. No matter what he is thinking about, I shall go. Jian Wushuang wasn't worried, and he immediately went to Thunderbolt Island alone. 1 month later, in a lofty hall on Thunderbolt Island, there were countless experts gathered. The experts were from Sanctuary Alliance. Most of them were real gods, and there were some almighties who gathered there. In the middle of the hall, there was a total of 13 figures towering there. The 13 auras spread, and any single one could strike fear into the surrounding real gods. The 13 people were all almighties. Among the 13 almighties, there were 7 ordinary Sir Gods, 4 top Sir Gods, and the remaining 2 were Fortress Master Hong Tian and Emperor God Bing Ken. Such a strong team. There are not only Sir Gods, there are even 2 Emperor Gods and the 2 Emperor Gods. Sir God Bing Ken is listed in the 54th place on the Heaven and Earth Supreme Ranking list. He is slightly higher compared to Emperor God Tian Shao from Soaring Heaven King Palace. As for Fortress Master Hong Tian, it's needless to say, he is a peak Emperor God. Previously, Sword Emperor from Lineage of Star killed many Sir Gods, including 2 Sir Gods. But he killed them one by one. However, fighting against such a strong team formation, I reckon he won't act hastily. Fortress Master Hong Tian united the experts who harbored grudges against Lineage of Star and wanted to match evenly with them. I wonder if the 2 strong teams will fight a fierce battle. Even if they fight, it won't be within Thunderbolt Island. In the hall, all the experts from Sanctuary Alliance were talking among themselves. Just then, the crowd suddenly moved to 2 sides. Then, a young man carrying a sword slowly walked to the middle of the hall. There was no one behind him, just him alone. He didn't have a team of 13 almighties like Fortress Master Hong Tian, but he alone could make the entire hall quiet down. In the hall, the experts from Sanctuary Alliance fixed their gazes upon him. Most of the people revealed reverence and adoration in their eyes. When he reached the middle of the hall, in front of the 13 almighties, there was suddenly a hubbub in the hall. It's Jian Wushuang. He came alone? Alone. He fights alone with a total of 13 almighties, including Fortress Master Hong Tian. Such courage. Thanks. Chapter 1831. Jian Wushuang's reply. Upon seeing Jian Wushuang, who had appeared before them, the expressions of Fortress Master Hong Tian and the 12 almighties behind him changed slightly. The Star Palace Master is becoming more and more arrogant. I sent an invitation to him personally, and in the end he did not come, Fortress Master Hong Tian said in a deep voice. Palace Master is busy with his own matters, and he does not have the time to care about such a small matter, Jian Wushuang said nonchalantly. Busy with his own matters? Isn't his traveling in the ancient mystery land? That old bastard. I really hope that he will die in the ancient mystery land one day. Fortress Master Hong Tian snorted coldly, and he did not care about Jian Wushuang, who was present in the slightest bit. Upon hearing Fortress Master Hong Tian's words, a light that was hard to notice flashed past Jian Wushuang's eyes. The Fortress Master Hong Tian was right. The Star Palace Master had indeed died in the ancient mystery land. Fortress Master Hong Tian, let's cut the crap. Why not tell me your motive this time around bluntly? Jian Wushuang crossed his arms. My motive is simple. Behind me, there are 12 Almighties. All of them are now my friends and they are all currently guests in my deluge fortress. I hope that the lineage of Star will not make things difficult for them. If they do, Fortress Master Hong Tian had only managed to speak until this point. Then what? Jian Wushuang laughed coldly. Fortress Master Hong Tian, are you trying to threaten the lineage of Star? Or do you plan to start a war with the lineage of Star head-on? Fortress Master Hong Tian was stunned and after muttering to himself for a long time, he spoke again. Jian Wushuang, for you to be able to reach your current stage today, you are definitely not an idiot. You're right. Your lineage of Star is powerful. However, with many Almighties teaming up now, our lineup is probably more powerful than your lineage of Star. If a great battle were to really break out on both sides, the end result would definitely be mutual destruction, with both sides suffering losses. Is there really a need for this? Why don't both our sides take a step back? From today on, all these good friends of mine, including me, will make a detour right away if we come across experts of the lineage of Star. As for you, you must not make trouble for us again. Do? Take a step back? What a great idea, Jian Wushuang laughed. In other words, you agree to this? Fortress Master Hong Tian looked over. Agree? What a joke. Why must my lineage of Star agree to all of you? Do you think that all of you have the right to get my lineage of Star to retreat? Jian Wushuang laughed with ridicule. Upon hearing that, the 12 Almighties behind Fortress Master Hong Tian were all enraged. Jian Wushuang, don't be too much. That's right. Even if we were to have a great battle, do you think that we would be afraid of you? At most, there will be mutual destruction. Even if we were to die, your lineage of Star would definitely suffer heavy losses like never before. Many shouting voices could be heard in the hall repeatedly. The fury and god power that these shouting voices contained also caused many of the experts of the Sanctuary Alliance to shiver in fear. Jian Wushuang, Fortress Master Hong Tian's voice turned cold. To your lineage of Star, this matter is considered huge. I think you had better have a good discussion with the Star Palace Master, as well as the other hall masters of the lineage of Star first, before making a decision. Discuss with them? There's no need for that. Jian Wushuang shook his head and his eyes were extremely determined, like never before. Since I have come alone, my decision can fully represent the lineage of Star and I can give you my answer now. You wish for the lineage of Star to retreat, for us to be non-aggressive toward one another and for us to stop what we are doing now? Impossible! Since my lineage of Star has already made up our mind to take action, we will continue our massacre. Aren't all of you gathered together and staying in the Deluge Fortress now? Since that's the case, within 10 years, my lineage of Star will fight our way into the Deluge Fortress and kill the 13 of you, which is inclusive of you, Fortress Master Hong Tian. None of you will be able to escape. Jian Wushuang was filled with murderous intent and he had already made up his mind a long time ago. He could tell that Fortress Master Hong Tian had invited him there on that very day simply to show him the power of their lineup in order to frighten him as well as the lineage of Star so that the lineage of Star would stop their massacre. In addition, their lineup was very powerful. 13 Almighties, which was inclusive of 2 Emperor Gods. Moreover, there was Fortress Master Hong Tian, a peak Emperor God expert would be present. Even if it were a big powerhouse like the Soaring Heaven King Palace, they would not dare to provoke him as well. However, as their lineup was very powerful, it made Jian Wushuang want to kill them even more. It should be known that the lineage of Star was about to face an unprecedented danger. The moment the danger descended upon them completely, a great number of experts from the powerhouses would probably throw themselves at them, including the 13 Almighties, which was inclusive of Fortress Master Hong Tian, who already had a huge grudge against the lineage of Star to begin with. Moreover, at that time, these 13 Almighties would definitely bring about great dangers to the lineage of Star. Hence, before the danger descended, these 13 people had to die, no matter what. Within the hall, countless experts of the Sanctuary Alliance were gathered together. The 13 people, which was inclusive of Fortress Master Hong Tian, continued standing at their positions, and Jian Wushuang's answer was still resounding in their ears. Within 10 years, the lineage of Star would fight their way to the Deluge Fortress and kill the 13 of them? How arrogant! How impudent! Jian Wushuang, you are too arrogant. The Almighties were all extremely furious, and some people even roared with fury repeatedly. If not for them being in the Thunderbolt Island and the fact that fighting was forbidden, some of them would have taken action to kill Jian Wushuang on the spot, as they could no longer take it. After all, they were 13 Almighties, which was inclusive of Fortress Master Hong Tian as well. With such a powerful lineup and that they were willing to take a step back, Jian Wushuang still did not agree to their conditions in the end. Moreover, Jian Wushuang had also threatened to fight his way into the Deluge Fortress. This was him not caring about the 13 of them at all. Jian Wushuang, do you know what you have just said? Fortress Master Hong Tian's expression turned grave and he stared at Jian Wushuang. Of course I do, and I will repeat it for all of you again. The 13 of you had better sit back and prepare yourselves. Within 10 years, my lineage of Star will fight our way into the Deluge Fortress and get our hands on your necks. Jian Wushuang's voice was ice cold. Good, very good. Then I shall await respectfully in the Deluge Fortress for the arrival of the lineage of Star. Fortress Master Hong Tian's voice was extremely cold, and his eyes were also burning with flames with fury. Jian Wushuang curled his lips, and he was too lazy to care about their response. As such, he turned his body and left. Let's leave. Fortress Master Hong Tian waved his hands, and he left with his 12 Almighties. After they left, the hall burst into an uproar. How daring he is! This Jian Wushuang is really very daring. Fight their way into the Deluge Fortress? Where did his courage come from? Could it be that the lineage of Star has planned to come out in full force? Even if that's the case, they would still be unable to do anything against a battle array of 13 Almighties. In particular, a super existence like the Fortress Master Hong Tian is present as well. Unless the Star Palace Master and Jian Wushuang unleash the secret skill of Star Palace at all costs. However, the Star Palace Master seems to be under some restrictions of the Sanctuary Alliance. Hence, won't he be unable to unleash the secret skill of Star Palace at will and go on a killing spree? Chapter 1832. Emperor God Lu Guang lineage of Star would charge to Deluge Fortress within 10 years. The news spread like wildfire. Eternal Chaotic World was instantly bubbling over with enthusiasm. After Jian Wushuang left Thunderbolt Island, his face was cold. At first, he thought the earlier massacre had already killed many experts who harbored grudges against lineage of Star, but he had never expected that there would be so many left. A total of 13 Almighties combined was not a weak team formation. But Jian Wushuang had to kill all of them. Palace Master, Hall Master Yuan sent a message. Hall Master Yuan, you have received the news, right? Jian Wushuang assumed. Yes, I have, Hall Master Yuan replied. Palace Master made the right decision. If it was during normal times, it'd be okay for lineage of Star to take a step back when Fortress Master Hong Tian and the others united and were willing to take a step back. But now, lineage of Star is caught between life and death. The abyss is right behind us and we can't even take a step back. Fortress Master Hong Tian and the rest have to be exterminated before the danger explodes. Otherwise, they will become a sharp blade that is pointed at the heart of lineage of Star. It seems like you agree with my course of action, Jian Wushuang smiled. Of course I do. It's just that they are a group of 13 Almighties. It won't be easy to kill all of them, Hall Master Yuan sighed. Don't worry. As I said, I will head to Deluge Fortress within 10 years. I naturally am confident in killing them, Jian Wushuang said. Hall Master Yuan nodded too. Yeah, Palace Master, do you want Hall Master Gu Xian and Hall Master Nye Yun to come over and help you? It's okay. Let them continue to chase after real gods who hold grudges against lineage of Star. They'll take care of things here, Jian Wushuang said. I understand, Hall Master Yuan didn't ask further. An ancient spaceship continued to travel forward at a high speed in the dark void. Half a year later, he arrived at a piece of floating land. The land wasn't huge in size, but there were mountains and rivers. It was a painting-like scenery. Jian Wushuang had just landed on the land when there were immediately two flowing lights that flew over. Who is this? The two flowing lights were two silver-armored soldiers. They were looking at Jian Wushuang with their guards up. Although they were only soldiers, their auras were already at the level of real god. Please notify your betters that Sword Emperor from lineage of Star has come to visit. Jian Wushuang smiled as he let out his divine might. Feeling Jian Wushuang's divine might, the two soldiers immediately realized that the visitor was an almighty. They didn't dare to delay and immediately reported. In the middle of the land, there was an ancient palace. In the palace, there was a golden-robed lady that sat on a cattail hassock. The golden-robed lady had a lightning mark in between her eyebrows. Suddenly, a maidservant came in and bowed politely. The golden-robed lady fluttered her eyelids and opened her eyes. "What is it?" The golden-robed lattice voice was cold. "Master, there's a visitor. He said that he is Sword Emperor from lineage of Star." "He said that he has come to visit you," the maidservant said politely. "Sword Emperor from lineage of Star?" The golden-robed lady looked shocked. "I do not have anything to do with lineage of Star. Not too long ago, Jian Wushuang said that he wanted to barge into Deluge Fortress in 10 years' time. Why did he come to look for me now?" Although the golden-robed lady was confused, she waved and said, "Let him in." Yes, the maidservant left. Very soon, Jian Wushuang came to the palace under the lead of the maidservant. Jian Wushuang greets Emperor God Lu Guang. Jian Wushuang was polite, but he wasn't fearful. Emperor God Lu Guang was a peak expert in the 27th place on Heaven and Earth's supreme ranking list. In terms of power, she was one notch stronger than the master of Star Palace. She was definitely considered a terrifying existence. However, Jian Wushuang also possessed fighting power of a peak emperor god. Hence, they were not far apart in power, they naturally could speak on even ground. I wonder why the famous Sword Emperor has come to my place? Emperor God Lu Guang stared at Jian Wushuang with her pair of eyes that were giving out faint golden light. It was as though she was trying to see through Jian Wushuang, but she couldn't see anything. I think Emperor God Lu Guang also knew that lineage of Star would barge into Deluge Emperor within 10 years, right? Jian Wushuang looked at Emperor God Lu Guang. Yes, Emperor God Lu Guang nodded. She wasn't cultivating in seclusion, so she pretty much knew what had happened within Eternal Chaotic World, especially about that incident. It had been a great scene, and it would be difficult for Emperor God Lu Guang to not know about it. If so, I will not beat around the bush. Deluge Fortress has a total of 13 Almighties. To kill all 13 Almighties is easier said than done. So, I'd like to ask Emperor God Lu Guang for help, Jian Wushuang said straightforwardly. You want me to help you? Emperor God Lu Guang looked cold. Jian Wushuang, no matter if it is you or lineage of Star behind you, we share no relations. Plus, Fortress Master Hong Tian and the others have never offended me before. Under such circumstances, why would I want to help you? Because of this, Jian Wushuang flipped his hand and there was a strange-looking jade sword. Emperor God Lu Guang, who looked originally cold, her eyes dilated in shock when she saw the jade sword. There was also a glimpse of light in her eyes, but she instantly concealed it. Jian Wushuang, where did you get this jade sword? Emperor God Lu Guang looked at him. Regardless of where I got this from, this jade sword is in my hands and Emperor God Lu Guang has been wanting to get this jade sword. Jian Wushuang smiled. The jade sword had been given to Jian Wushuang many years ago when he took He Xiu in as his disciple, and He Xiu gave it to him, along with the 9 Taiching ancient panaceas. The jade sword and Taiching ancient panaceas were from Sir God Dan Hong's cave dwelling, who had passed away long ago. Back then, Jian Wushuang didn't know what the purpose of the jade sword was, but when he returned to Lineage of Star and asked Hall Master Yuan, he had found out that the jade sword was a token to enter the 3rd most famous dangerous place in the 3rd lair, Blood Cloud Palace. There was a total of 10 tokens to enter Blood Cloud Palace, which were 10 jade swords. Only one with a jade sword could enter Blood Cloud Palace. It was a pity that it still required a long time until Blood Cloud Palace open again. Hence, there wasn't any use of the jade sword in Jian Wushuang's hands. However, Jian Wushuang knew that Emperor God Lu Guang had been looking for the jade sword over the years. Emperor God Lu Guang, I heard that the last time when Blood Cloud Palace was open, your husband went in to explore with one of the jade swords, but in the end, he never came out. For all these years, you have been looking for a new jade sword. You should be thinking of entering Blood Cloud Palace the next time it opens again, to look for your husband. It's a pity that you have yet to find one, Jian Wushuang said coldly. Chapter 1833. Assistance, I really do want the jade sword. Emperor God Lu Guang lifted her head and looked at Jian Wushuang. However, there is a total of 10 jade swords. Even though there are a few that are lost, there are still some remaining. Plus, it will be still a long time until the next opening of Blood Cloud Palace. In this period of time, I can totally look for it slowly on my own. With my power and my position, it will definitely not be difficult for me to find one. I don't have to see about the jade sword in your hand. Jian Wushuang's face changed slightly. He knew what Emperor God Lu Guang said was a fact. Although the token to enter Blood Cloud Palace was rare and precious, if Emperor God Lu Guang were to spend some time and effort to look for it slowly, she would be able to find it. It wasn't too high of a price to pay. Emperor God Lu Guang, if you help, I will owe you a favor, Jian Wushuang said. Oh. Emperor God Lu Guang was surprised. Although she was dying to get the jade sword, she wasn't in a hurry. Jian Wushuang couldn't convince her with the jade sword. But with the addition of Jian Wushuang's favor, the deal was entirely different. One should know that if Jian Wushuang could break through and become an almighty, he would possess fighting power of a great emperor. He might even reach the level of Emperor Bai. Although he would come across countless dangers and unexpected incidents during the process, there was a high hope after all. A possible great emperor-to-be who could be side by side with Emperor Bai, a favor from him is hard to come by. Emperor Lu Guang nodded and stood up. Jian Wushuang, I agree to make a trip to Deluge Fortress with you, but there's one thing. I will only attack once. After the fight with Deluge Fortress, regardless of if you reach your goal to kill all the Almighties or not, I will not attack again. Okay, Jian Wushuang nodded. He intended to destroy Deluge Fortress in one shot anyway. It was naturally unnecessary to attack the second time. If so, let's move now, Emperor God Lu Guang said. Jian Wushuang immediately made a move with Emperor God Lu Guang, and Emperor God Lu Guang entered the ancient spaceship that Jian Wushuang had come in. Master, Jian Yi stood next to Jian Wushuang. Sword Emperor, this is? Emperor God Lu Guang glanced at Jian Yi. In her eyes, Jian Yi was just an ordinary person. He's my servant. He takes care of my daily living. He doesn't have any power, Jian Wushuang said. Oh. Emperor God Lu Guang understood. Very quickly, the ancient spaceship departed. In the dark void outside Abysmal Sanctuary, the ancient spaceship stopped in silence. Sword Emperor, what are we doing outside Abysmal Sanctuary? Emperor God Lu Guang asked. Don't be in a hurry, let's wait, Jian Wushuang said. It seems like you have other helpers. Well, that makes sense. Deluge Fortress gathered 13 Almighties, and there are Fortress Master Hong Tina and Emperor God Bing Ken in commanding position. To kill all of them, Lineage of Star definitely has to turn out its full force. Would the Master of Star Palace be involved this time as well? Emperor God Lu Guang said. Jian Wushuang didn't explain but continued to wait. A few months later, a black spaceship drove over. Then, a black-robed, evil-looking young man walked out of the spaceship and entered Jian Wushuang's silver spaceship. Sword Emperor. Oh, Emperor God Lu Guang is here too? The black-robed young man was calm when he saw Jian Wushuang, but he revealed a reverent look when he saw Emperor God Lu Guang. Emperor God Lu Guang was a superb existence in the 27th place on Heaven and Earth Supreme ranking list. Emperor God Jiao-yin? You asked him too? Emperor God Lu Guang looked at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly, then he flipped his hand and took out a spear that gave out boundless chilliness. He passed it to the black-robed young man, Emperor God Jiao-yin. Emperor God Jiao-yin, this is your reward. What do you think? Jian Wushuang said. It's really a chaotic divine treasure, and the power seems strong too, There was passion burning in Emperor God Jiao Ying's eyes. He wasn't close to Jian Wushuang. The reason why he had rushed over was that Jian Wushuang had sent him a text and said that the reward would be a chaotic divine treasure. Chaotic divine treasure, even an ordinary emperor god wouldn't have one. Only an emperor god with extremely strong power would have at most only 2 of the items. Just like Emperor God Jiao Ying, he only had a simple attack chaotic divine treasure. Then, he was only going to offer Jian Wushuang a helping hand to barge into Deluge Fortress so he would be able to get a chaotic divine treasure. Emperor God Jiao Yin of course wouldn't decline. Sword Emperor lives up to his name. You are quite generous. Emperor God Lu Guang glanced at Jian Wushuang. It's only a chaotic divine treasure. Now I get to invite an Emperor God experts who was on the 49th place on Heaven and Earth Supreme ranking list to join forces with me. It's very worthy, Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. Although Emperor God Jiao Yin wasn't a peak Emperor God, he was very close to one. His close combat skill was extremely scary and it would be best to use it to massacre some Sir Gods. I have something to tell the 2 of you ahead of time. Jian Wushuang looked at Emperor God Lu Guang and Emperor God Jiao Yin and said, there are only 3 of us who are going to barge into Deluge Fortress. What? Emperor God Jiao Yin's face instantly grew grave. Emperor God Lu Guang also looked at Jian Wushuang in shock. Sword Emperor, you're joking, right? The 3 of us can fight evenly with the 13 Almighties led by Fortress Master Hong Tian? Plus, Fortress Master Hong Tian and the others knew that you are coming after them. They will definitely make preparations ahead of time. Who knows, by then, we might be dealing with more than 13, maybe 15 or more, Emperor God Jiao Yin said. With the 3 of us, if we were to fight with Fortress Master Hong Tian and the others all together, we might only have a 50% chance of winning. Emperor God Lu Guang remained cold. Sword Emperor, you paid a huge price to invite myself and Emperor God Jiao Yin. You won't only do it for a 50% winning chance, right? Of course not, Jian Wushuang smiled. Then he flipped his hands. There were immediately 4 silver-armored, brawny figures that appeared next to him. This is Dao soldiers? Emperor God Lu Guang was shocked. Emperor God Lu Guang, you know them? Jian Wushuang was surprised too. Emperor God Lu Guang nodded. Once when I wandered in ancient mystery land, I met similar Dao soldiers. It is said that Dao soldiers are substantiated with ancient tribe experts' blood essence. There are a few levels and these 4 silver-armored Dao soldiers should have the power of an ordinary Emperor God. The 4 of them together should be able to match evenly with an Emperor God. In addition of the 4 Dao soldiers, our winning chance should increase by 10%. 60%? Jian Wushuang smiled. Don't worry. When I'm here, there won't only be a 60% winning chance. Let's go. The huge silver spaceship immediately plunged in the direction of Abysmal Sanctuary at a terrifyingly fast speed. An earth-shattering war was coming. Chapter 1834. To Deluge Fortress in Abysmal Sanctuary. In the spacious palace, there were 13 Almighties gathered, including Fortress Master Hong Tian. Everyone, let me tell you the good news. Emperor God Zhenhua has already accepted my invitation and he is already on the way here. He will arrive in Abysmal Sanctuary within 3 years. Fortress Master Hong Tian looked around. Emperor God Zhenhua is coming too? That's great. With Emperor God Zhenhua's help, our team formation will be even stronger. The moment the news spread, the surrounding 12 Almighties were excited. Previously, Emperor God Long Yan accepted my invitation. In addition, there's Emperor God Zhehua. It equals to the assistance of 2 Emperor God experts. Besides, there is a total of 8 Sir Gods who have accepted our invitation too. If all of us are added up, we of Deluge Fortress will have gathered 4 Emperor Gods and over 20 Sir Gods by then. With such team formation, we could even wipe out Soaring Heaven King Palace. We don't have to be fearful of lineage of star. What we need to do now is wait patiently for Emperor Gods and the Sir Gods who accepted our invitation to arrive. Fortress Master Hong Tian smiled and said, as their negotiation with Jian Wushuang had failed and Jian Wushuang had said that he would barge into Deluge Fortress within 10 years, Fortress Master Hong Tian and the others naturally had to be prepared. They had been contacting their good friends and experts who shared a relationship with them to offer them rewards for them to rush over for assistance. In merely a year, they had invited 2 Emperor Gods and 8 Sir Gods. Emperor God Bing Can, is there any movement in Lineage of Star? Fortress Master Hong Tian suddenly looked at Emperor God Bing Can. I already assigned men to keep watch of Lineage of Star. Besides, we also asked Vientiane Tower to watch after them as well. However, it's weird that there isn't any movement in Lineage of Star. Hall Master Gu Xen and Hall Master Nye Yun are back in Lineage of Star. There's only Jian Wushuang alone. He has no fixed whereabouts. We do not know where he is temporarily, Emperor God Bing Can said. Humph, no matter where he goes, he will definitely be here in 10 years' time. Before that, we only have to keep watch of Lineage of Star. After all, when he comes, he definitely will make use of Lineage of Star's power. Wait till the few Almighties from Lineage of Star or the Master of Star Palace come out from Lineage of Star. It means that they are going to launch an attack. Fortress Master Hong Tian smirked coldly. I reckon Lineage of Star will definitely need to prepare themselves before launching an attack as well, one of the Sir Gods said. Of course they have to prepare, but that gives us time to prepare as well. After some time, the experts that we invited will arrive and I'd like to see what Lineage of Star can do to us. The Almighties at the scene sneered. They assumed that Jian Wushuang would need to prepare elaborately before barging into Deluge Fortress, and they also thought that he would utilize the power of Lineage of Star. Such as the Master of Star Palace, Hall Master Gu Xan and Hall Master Nye Yun would all join the troop. But in actual fact, the ancient silver spaceship that Jian Wushuang was driving had already arrived outside Deluge Fortress. The ancient silver spaceship stopped in the void above as it overlooked the lofty fortress at the end. There was even a layer of faint gray film around the fortress. It was a huge formation and its power was quite strong. When I said that I am going to barge into Deluge Fortress within 10 years in front of everyone on Thunderbolt Island, I was obviously not joking. Everyone in Deluge Fortress knew that clearly. So, they definitely will have started preparing immediately. For example, they would figure out ways to invite experts over to assist them. However, inviting experts takes time too. Jian Wushuang overlooked the huge fortress at the end of his sight. He had also invited experts, but he only invited 2. These 2 people were from Abysmal Sanctuary. Hence, he had only used a year's time in total. In 1 year, he believed that the experts that Deluge Fortress invited definitely couldn't reach them so soon. Even if 1 or 2 arrived, it wouldn't have too much of an effect on the overall situation. Sword Emperor, none of the Almighties from Lineage of Star are coming. Just the few of us with a few Dao soldiers, we will attack Deluge Fortress? Emperor God Jiao Yin found it strange. But, is Emperor God Jiao Yin afraid? Jian Wushuang smiled. I'm not afraid, but I feel uncertain. Emperor God Jiao Yin shook his head and said, Sword Emperor, I'll be frank. If I find things not right when the fight starts, as in there's life-threatening danger, I will leave immediately. Although chaotic divine treasure is hard to come by, it's not worth risking my life for it. All right, Jian Wushuang nodded, but you have to give your all during the fight later. If your life wasn't endangered but you left or you made a groundless retreat, don't blame me for not recognizing your effort. You should know the outcome of being eyed by myself or my palace master, right? Emperor God Jiao Yin's face grew grave and his heart quivered in fear. Everyone had seen the massacre that Jian Wushuang carried out in the past. He had killed 2 emperor gods in public and his name was well known. As for the Master of Star Palace behind Jian Wushuang, he was even scarier. Many years ago, the Master of Star Palace massacred and the sight had struck fear into many. If he were to be eyed by the 2, Emperor God Jiao Yin quivered at the thought itself. Don't worry, I won't leave until the very last moment, Emperor God Jiao Yin said. That's great, Jian Wushuang smiled. Sword Emperor, there's a formation around Deluge Fortress. It seems that they immediately asked someone to set it up after they knew that you were going to come. The formation seems powerful. I don't think it'll be easy for us to barge in. Emperor God Lu Guang looked at Jian Wushuang. Let me take care of this formation. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. Oh! Emperor God Lu Guang and Emperor God Jiao Yin looked at Jian Wushuang in shock. Let me send a present to Deluge Fortress. Jian Wushuang's eyes grew cold and there was a scroll painting in his hand all of a sudden. Then, Jian Wushuang threw the scroll painting into the void above. The scroll painting blended with the universe and suddenly, the sky above made a drastic change. Virum. Boundless aura spread across. The sky above turned into a beautiful world. There were mountains and rivers in the world where birds sang and flowers emitted their fragrance. The most enchanting part was the 9 lofty continents in the world. Every continent was huge and boundless, and their lofty aura was shocking. The scroll painting world moved the universe, including the 9 lofty continents, above Deluge Fortress. The strongest treasure that Jian Wushuang held, Mountain River Map, was spread open. Chapter 1835 Welcome GIF. This is, Emperor God Lu Guang and Emperor God Jiao Yin looked at the scroll painting world above them. They felt the magnificent aura that was given out and their gaze fixed upon it. 9 province of the universe, Yang province as the seal. Overwhelmed the rain. Jian Wushuang bellowed and his palms swung to the void above. Rumble. The universe shook and a lofty continent descended from the scroll painting world and pressed down. This power. Emperor God Lu Guang looked shocked. Emperor God Jiao Yin was terrified. He stared at the lofty continent as it pressed down at Deluge Fortress. In Deluge Fortress, in the spacious palace where Fortress Master Hong Tian and the other 13 Almighties gathered. Suddenly, a shocking power pressed down. The 13 Almighties including Fortress Master Hong Tian quickly lifted their heads. What's going on? Such terrifying pressure. What happened? The 13 Almighties immediately soared up from the palace in shock. After leaving the palace, they immediately looked to the lofty continent that descended from the sky above. Huge, the continent was too huge. The power that it contained was earth-shattering and the Almighties were shocked. Oh my God! Is this punishment of God from above? No, it's going to hit. The lofty continent covered the entire Deluge Fortress. It first pressed against the formations surrounding Deluge Fortress. Fortress Master Hong Tian asked people to set up the formations within the past 1 year and its power was terrifying. Under normal circumstances, even if 2 to 3 Emperor Gods joined forces, they would need some time till they could resolve the formation. Then, as the lofty continent descended, the entire formation was shaking vigorously from the pressure. After a while, it collapsed and shattered. The formation broke? The Almighties stared with their eyes wide. They then roared in the next moment. Be careful! The continent is pressing down at us. Quick, hurry up and block. Fortress Master Hong Tian, Emperor God Bing Can and the other 11 Sir Gods immediately took action. There were fierce auras exploding from the 13 of them. The ferocious attack hit the descending lofty continent like lightning. Bang, 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 bang. There were deafening noises that rang continuously. It could destroy the universe. Along with the noises, the entire Deluge Fortress was covered by the lofty continent entirely. In the void, Jian Wushuang, Emperor God Lu Guang and Emperor God Jiao Yong stood as they watched Deluge Fortress from afar. Emperor God Lu Guang and Emperor God Jiao Ying's facial expression were both very interesting. Sword Emperor, this is the welcome gift you gave to Deluge Fortress? Emperor God Lu Guang looked at Jian Wushuang. She could feel the power of the lofty continent earlier wasn't any weaker than her strongest hit that she could perform with all her strength. It might even be stronger than her full force hit. To be able to perform an attack of such level, Jian Wushuang's power, it isn't easy to perform this move. It's already great that I could perform it once, Jian Wushuang smiled. Then, he waved and the 9-province world dispersed very quickly and turned into a scroll painting in Jian Wushuang's hand again. Although Emperor Lu Guang heard Jian Wushuang say so, she didn't quite believe him. After all, when Jian Wushuang had performed the earlier move, he didn't look like he had had any difficulty. The formation has broken. Now, it's time for a head-on fight, Jian Wushuang smiled. Emperor God Lu Guang and Emperor God Jiao Yin looked forward, and the boundless divine power gradually dispersed and revealed the scene within. Under the weight of the lofty continent, the huge deluge fortress was crushed to the ground. The original fortress was replaced with a huge pit. In the void above the pit, there were 13 figures that stood there coldly. They were the 13 Almighties, including Fortress Master Hong Tian himself. Jian Wushuang had performed overwhelmed the rain with his full force earlier. Although it broke the formation surrounding Deluge Fortress and razed Deluge Fortress to the ground, the full pressure on the 13 Almighties didn't bring about any damage or injury to them. Even so, Jian Wushuang was content. At least his move had brought about a deterrent power to his enemies. Then, among the 13 Almighties, Fortress Master Hong Tian's eyes were bloodshot and he was raging in anger. After all, Deluge Fortress was his lair. He had resided there all those years. Then, it had been razed to the ground. Even though it had been easy for him to rebuild Deluge Fortress, it had been rather humiliating to have his lair razed to the ground before everyone else. As for the 12 Almighties behind him, they were all raging with anger. However, in the anger there was a faint fear. They were fearful of the power in the earlier move. Such terrifying power. Luckily, the 13 Almighties had teamed up and they had Fortress Master Hong Tian, who was a peak Emperor God. If they were to be against him one-on-one, they might be gone without any trace under such power. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. There were 7 figures that plunged over from afar and appeared before the 13 Almighties. Jian Wushuang, Fortress Master Hong Tian and the others saw the incomer and they immediately clenched their teeth. Of course, they had already noticed Emperor God Lu Guang and Emperor God Jiao Yin by his side. They were fine when they saw Emperor God Jiao Yin. However, when they saw Emperor God Lu Guang, many of their faces grew grave. Emperor God Lu Guang was a peak Emperor God who was on a higher ranking than the Master of Star Palace and Fortress Master Hong Tian. But then, the peak Emperor God was standing with Jian Wushuang. Fortress Master Hong Tian and everyone, my welcome gift is quite good, huh? Jian Wushuang smiled faintly but his voice was extremely cold. B** starred. Fortress Master Hong Tian clenched his hand and there was soaring murderous intention in his eyes. The Almighties behind him were all shocked. How is it possible? Jian Wushuang came so soon? Didn't he say in 10 years' time? It has only been a year. In only a year, he got Emperor God Lu Guang and Emperor God Jiao Yin to help him? Forget about Emperor God Jiao Yin. Emperor God Lu Guang never gets involved in others' fights. What price did Jian Wushuang pay to get her to be here? D** The experts that we invited have yet to reach us and Jian Wushuang is already here? What to do? What should I do? The Almighties were panicking. Too bad. The scene was beyond their expectations. It was entirely different from what they had expected. Chapter 1836. War exploded. They assumed that Jian Wushuang definitely needed to prepare elaborately before he barged into Deluge Fortress. Plus, Lineage of Star would definitely turn out in full strength. Hence, they had been keeping a tight watch at Lineage of Star. They would immediately raise their guards when there was any movement. But they had never expected that Jian Wushuang would find 2 Emperor Gods as his assistants within a year and come directly. On top of that, he didn't use any power from Lineage of Star. Then, Jian Wushuang's sudden attack had caught them totally off guard. Humph, why are you panicking? Fortress Master Hong Tian harumphed and he looked around coldly. Although the formation has been broken and the experts that we have invited have yet to arrive, Jian Wushuang's team formation is only 3 Emperor Gods plus 4 war puppets. With our power, we could totally be evenly matched. As for victory and defeat, it is still unknown. The Almighties became confident when they heard him. It was true that Jian Wushuang's sudden attack was beyond their expectations, but the experts that had come with Jian Wushuang weren't many. Including Jian Wushuang himself, there was only the fighting power of 3 Emperor Gods and 4 war puppets. They were 13 Almighties teamed up. There were 2 Emperor Gods too, Fortress Master Hong Tian and Emperor God Bing Can. They could totally be evenly matched. Then, the Almighties calmed down and their gazes grew cold. There was war intention that suddenly soared from their bodies too. Emperor God Lu Guang, I shall pass Fortress Master Hong Tian to you. Keep him occupied, Jian Wushuang said. I'm doing this personally. He doesn't stand a chance to run free. However, are you sure that you only need me to suppress Fortress Master Hong Tian alone? Emperor God Lu Guang asked in shock. In terms of power, Emperor God Lu Guang was much stronger than Fortress Master Hong Tian. If she were to use her full force, not only could she suppress Fortress Master Hong Tian, she could even be involved with other battles. You can just focus on not letting Fortress Master Hong Tian run free. As for the others, Jian Wushuang smirked coldly and said, I'll take care of Emperor God Bing Can. The rest of the 11 Sir Gods will be taken care of by Emperor God Jiao Ying and the 4 Dao soldiers. No problem, right? 11 Sir Gods? Emperor God Jiao Ying creased his eyebrows. With 4 Dao soldiers, I should be able to match them evenly, but I reckon I can't sustain it for too long. You don't have to endure for long. A short while will do, Jian Wushuang smiled. If so, let's do it. Emperor God Lu Guang's gaze grew cold. Die! Jian Wushuang bellowed, and the murderous intention flooded out from his body like a rising tide. His figure burst out in an instant. Kill them all! Fortress Master Hong Tian let out an angry roar, and the 13 Almighties' aura spread vigorously as they took action at the same time. The war exploded all of a sudden. Fortress Master Hong Tian, your opponent is me. Her cold voice reverberated in the universe. Emperor God Lu Guang was like a flowing light, and her speed was terrifyingly fast, far beyond Jian Wushuang and Emperor God Jiao Ying's. She appeared in front of Fortress Master Hong Tian at the first instant. At the same time, a resplendent, flowing light burst out and aimed at Fortress Master Hong Tian's throat. Fortress Master Hong Tian's eyes dilated. He could belittle Emperor God Jiao Ying and also Jian Wushuang, but he definitely didn't have the guts to belittle Emperor God Lu Guang. Humph! There was a cold humph, and there were huge axes that appeared in Fortress Master Hong Tian's both hands. The 2 huge axes were filled with terrifying rage. They were a pair originally. Judging from their auras, the pair of huge axes were obviously chaotic divine treasures. As one of the huge axes swung out, the flowing light that burst out instantly shattered. Go! Emperor God Lu Guang pointed, and the glaring light lit up the universe. A white phoenix that showered under divine light substantiated. The white phoenix brought about threatening power that pierced the void and appeared in front of Fortress Master Hong Tian. Fortress Master Hong Tian's face grew in distress. Then, there was an ancient beast shadow that soared up behind him, and his divine body grew tremendously to 3 meters tall. His imposing aura had suddenly increased to a new level as well. He swung out 2 of his huge swords as though it could level mountain and blast cliff. At the instant when the power exploded, Fortress Master Hong Tian roared, Emperor God Lu Guang, we bear no grudges against each other. What did Jian Wushuang offer you? Why would I tell you what he offered me? Emperor God Lu Guang's voice was cold. Regardless of what he offered, I'm willing to pay double the price for you to leave. What do you think? Fortress Master Hong Tian said again. Double the price? Hee, you can't afford. Emperor God Lu Guang didn't want to waste any time with Fortress Master Hong Tian. In her hands, there was a pair of crystal-clear white gloves. The aura given out by the white gloves was shocking. It was obviously a chaotic divine treasure as well. D****. Fortress Master Hong Tian's face instantly changed. When Emperor God Lu Guang and Fortress Master Hong Tian had fought, Jian Wushuang, Emperor God Jiao Ying and the 4 silver-armored Dao soldiers had been fighting with the other 12 Almighties too. Emperor God Bing Can. Jian Wushuang's eyes were cold, and he locked his eyes on one person. Jian Wushuang. Emperor God Bing Can's gaze were unusually cold. Die! Jian Wushuang's murderous intention flashed. Although there was a good distance in between them, there were suddenly 2 resplendent golden lights next to him. The 2 resplendent golden lights shook faintly and instantly pierced through the space-time. In the blink of an eye, they appeared before Emperor God Bing Can. Emperor God Bing Can's divine power churned, and he didn't dare to make any careless mistakes. There was a boundless chilliness that spread out of his body. The chilliness froze the surrounding void, and the surrounding tens of thousands of miles turned into ice caves, while the Emperor God Bing Ken was the ruler of the ice cave. Slash! A saber filled with chilliness appeared in his hands. The direction where his blade light pointed at turned into frost. The golden lights that burst out of the two Hongyung golden sword collided with the blade light. Ding, ding. There were two continuous clashes. Every clash contained a terrifying explosion of divine power that flowed out. After the clash, Emperor God Bing Ken's body was the first that retreated, and he retreated by almost 10,000 miles. Such a powerful force. The two golden lights contained the impact of an Emperor God each. Emperor God Bing Ken was shocked. He was on the 54th place on Heaven and Earth's supreme ranking list. There was some distance to peak Emperor God. However, he wasn't too far from it. When he fought with a peak Emperor God, he could withstand it for a bit. Hence, when he had first fought with Jian Wushuang, he had had no scruples. However, when he fought with him then, Jian Wushuang's power frightened him. The two Hongyung golden swords equaled an Emperor God's power each. However, according to the information that he had obtained, speed was the scariest factor of Jian Wushuang's two Hongjun golden swords. Chapter 1837. Breaking a piece of dead wood. Power itself is already so fierce. Just how scary can the speed would be? Emperor God Bing Ken couldn't help but think. He had just thought about it when he got to experience it the next moment. The two Hongjun golden swords that were pushed back from the impact quivered, then came in front of him again like electric arcs. The distance of tens of thousands of miles was almost instantly pierced by the two Hongjun golden swords. Too fast, Emperor God Bing Ken stared, and the saber in his hands was swung out again. Ding, 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 ding. There were continuous clashes. Every single clash contained terrifying power that made Emperor God Bing Ken retreat. Just as he steadied himself, Hongjun golden swords flew over again. They didn't give him any chance to gasp for air. He had already gone all out, but under the continuous attacks of the two Hongjun golden swords, he constantly retreated. Under continuous hits, his divine body was constantly attacked and his injuries constantly worsened. Emperor God Bing Ken, I came to help you. There was a loud roar, and a white-robed elderly appeared with a sword that suddenly increased in size like a lofty mountain and pressed towards Jian Wushuang. The white-robed elderly was a peak Sir God himself. When he performed the stroke with his awl, the power was sufficient to move an ordinary Emperor God. However, Jian Wushuang's eyes turned cold at the sight. Go away! Jian Wushuang spat coldly and sent a palm in the direction of the white-robed elderly. Read more chapter on VIP novel. The palm seemed to contain the entire reincarnation. It instantly collided with the sword directly. There was a loud bang and the sword flew off, along with the white-robed elderly, who turned into a flowing light. As the white-robed elderly flew off, he was spitting blood and his aura grew dispirited. A top Sir God broke down under Jian Wushuang's palm. Emperor God Jiao Yin, don't let those Sir Gods interrupt me. Jian Wushuang glanced at Emperor God Jiao Ying in the void from afar. I tried my best. Emperor God Jiao Yin smiled bitterly. Although he was an Emperor God, he had to fight with 11 Sir Gods with 4 Dao soldiers. Among the 11 Sir Gods, there were a few top Sir Gods. Although he wasn't afraid, the other party's headcount was higher. He had no choice if there were 1 or 2 Sir Gods who had the time to interrupt the battle on the other side. Humph! Jian Wushuang stared at Emperor God Bing Ken in front of him coldly. The white-robed elderly interrupted and gave Emperor God Bing Ken a chance to pant. There was an unprecedented chilliness that swept out from Emperor God Bing Ken. Emperor God Bing Ken's face grew red and the chilliness formed into a storm and swept out. Are you going all out now? Jian Wushuang's expression grew cold. When he saw Emperor God Bing Ken's aura soar, he summoned his willpower and there was a golden light that instantly burst out in silence. Go away. Emperor God Bing Ken's eyes grew red as he swung the saber in his hand. Ding, ding. There were 2 clashes and the 2 Hongjun golden sword flew off from the impact. Emperor God Bing Ken's body retreated. Virm. Another strange golden light appeared in front of him on the way. The third one. Emperor God Tiancan stared. He didn't know Jian Wushuang had 9 Hongjun golden swords. The higher his comprehension of spacetime doctrine, the more Hongjun golden swords he could use. Previously, Jian Wushuang's comprehension towards spacetime doctrine had stopped at the peak of level 6. Hence, he was limited to using 2 Hongjun golden swords. But then, Jian Wushuang had received countless opportunities and benefits from the 6,000 years on the ancient battlefield. In terms of power, the one with the most improvement was spacetime doctrine. He of course could perform the 3rd Hongjun golden sword then. D**nit. Emperor God Tiancan's face grew grave. Merely 2 Hongjun golden swords had already brought about great stress, and he was pathetically suppressed even when he gave his all. Then there was another one? How could he resist? Jian Wushuang's power definitely isn't at the level of an ordinary peak Emperor God. Emperor God Tiancan roared in anger and his figure retreated. You want to flee? You don't stand a chance. There was billowing murderous intention in Jian Wushuang's eyes. There was a bolt of spacetime power that permeated the air. Secret skill of ancient god, moon-picking skill. Virum. The entire universe and the entire spacetime was pressing towards Emperor God Tiancan mercilessly. Emperor God Tiancan's figure was instantly restricted by the boundless pressure and his speed diminished greatly. Even the actions of his hand became difficult. The 3 golden lights were like 3 death curses. They continuously plunged over at high speed. No! Emperor God Tiancan let out an unwilling roar and barely raised his hand to resist 1 Hongjun golden sword, but the other 2 hit his skull and his chest respectively. The armor on the surface of his body activated its power, but it was an armor at the level of chaotic divine treasure after all. Its defense power was limited and he was hit directly. The sight struck many surrounding experts. Dead? Emperor God Tiancan was killed? How did it happen so quickly? It has only been a short while. Many Sir Gods were gawking in disbelief. They knew that Emperor God Tiancan was definitely not Jian Wushuang's match. However, there shouldn't be any problem for him to hold Jian Wushuang back. But in the end, how long had it taken? From the explosion of the war until then, it was slow in words, but in actual fact, it had only been a short while, like 20 breaths' time. Jian Wushuang's Hongjun golden swords had only hit a dozen times. In such a short time span, Emperor God Tiancan was killed by Jian Wushuang? It was like breaking a piece of dead wood. It was definitely an easy kill. To be able to kill the other party so quickly, just how huge was their difference in power? Sword Emperor. Even Emperor God Lu Guang by the side was looking at Jian Wushuang in shock. She knew of Emperor God Tiancan's power. Even if she were to kill him, she would require more time. To do it so smoothly and cleanly, like breaking a piece of dead wood, she couldn't do it. The 3 golden lights are Hongjun golden swords that made him gain fame, right? He could perform 3 of them. Every one equals a hit by a peak Emperor God, and the speed is so swift. In addition to the secret skill of ancient god, moon-picking skill, it is really difficult to run away from him. Emperor God Lu Guang complimented and acknowledged Jian Wushuang's power. Maybe he isn't as strong as I am. He is definitely much stronger than Fortress Master Hong Tian. Even if he were to compare to the Master of Star Palace, I reckon their powers wouldn't be far apart. In terms of hunting power, he is much stronger than I, the Master of Star Palace, and also Fortress Master Hong Tian. Chapter 1838 The Last Person. Hunting power. It was true that Jian Wushuang's Hongyun golden sword and moon-picking skill were closely related to spacetime doctrine. As for spacetime doctrine, speed was the most impressive factor. Jian Wushuang relied on the 2 techniques. As soon as he suppressed his enemy, it would be very difficult for them to flee. Although Emperor God Lu Guang and the Master of Star Palace were powerful, they would need to put in a lot of effort to kill a powerful Emperor God. Besides, they might let their enemy flee. They were definitely not as relaxed as Jian Wushuang. The moment Emperor God Bingcan died, Jian Wushuang was free. Jian Wushuang turned to look at the 11 Sir Gods at the side. The 11 Sir Gods were fighting ferociously with Emperor God Jiao Ying and the 4 silver-armored Dao soldiers. Along with Jian Wushuang's flash of murderous intention, the 3 Hongjun golden swords instantly became 3 resplendent golden light under his control. Then, they flew in 3 different directions simultaneously. Suddenly, the 3 Hongjun golden swords appeared behind 3 different Sir Gods. No! This, D***imminent. The 3 Sir Gods' faces changed. Some of them were fighting with Emperor God Jiao Ying together, some were fighting with the silver-armored Dao soldiers. However, Jian Wushuang's Hongjun golden sword suddenly flew at them and didn't give them any chance to struggle. The 3 Hongjun golden sword instantly pierced 2 bodies. Although there was one who responded in time and blocked the attack, Hongjun golden sword contained the power of a peak Emperor God. The moment he collided with the sword, the Sir God got severely injured while the Hongjun golden sword only quivered slightly and continued its attack. It pierced the person's head. In the blink of an eye, the 3 Sir Gods were killed. My goodness! Too scary! We can't resist the golden swords. Run, hurry up and run! The remaining Sir Gods were terrified and they started running away. They were originally forced to team up in order to defend their lives. However, dealing with Jian Wushuang's crushing power and his terrifying massacre pattern, they were shivering in fear. It had only been a short while since the explosion of the war, but Sir God Tian Ken and 3 Sir Gods had died. At first, the team formation that could fight for a while suddenly had a great disparity in power. Plus, there was Jian Wushuang who was a killing machine. They had already lost their courage to continue the fight. However, although they wanted to run away, they would require Jian Wushuang's permission. Jian Wushuang flipped his hand and there was a purple pearl that gave out a unique aura that appeared in his hand. It was a one-realm pearl. Jian Wushuang moved with his willpower and boundless purple energy swept out from the one-realm pearl. It instantly covered the surrounding void of a few million miles. The Sir Gods who were ready to run were engulfed within. One-realm pearl turned into a formation with 1 willpower. Today, none of you shall escape. Jian Wushuang's voice that contained shocking murderous intention reverberated in the few million miles void engulfed in the formation. The remaining 8 Sir Gods saw that their ways were blocked and they panicked. Such fear and shock turned into madness in a short period of time. I will fight all out with him. Even if I die, I won't let him leave in peace. The 8 Sir Gods' faces were distorted. They instantly turned around and charged at Jian Wushuang. Among them were a few that had billowing energy. Some were churning with magical clouds. There were 2 Sir Gods who had consumed a few elixirs and their auras had increased tremendously. It was obvious that the 8 Sir Gods were going all out. It could be called a last chance. It could also be called a desperate fight of a cornered beast. Looking at the 8 Sir Gods' faces, they were cold and fearless. Emperor God Jiao Ying, let's do this. Jian Wushuang said coldly, then the 3 Hongjun golden swords flew out first. Then he took a huge leap and drew out Blood Mountain Sword. Blood Mountain Sword that already transformed into chaotic divine treasure displayed terrifying sword intention that could shake the universe. Even when 11 Sir Gods team up, there was nothing and you wanted to struggle when there are only 8 of you? Emperor God Jiao Ying smirked coldly and his figure turned ghostly as he flashed here and there. The 4 silver-armored Dao soldiers followed. The experts from both parties instantly fought. The battle ended very quickly. In a short while, the 8 Sir Gods were killed. Among the 8 Sir Gods, there were 6 who were killed by the 3 Hongjun golden swords. Sword Emperor, your golden sword is really scary. Emperor God Jiao Ying looked at the 3 Hongjun golden sword floating around Jian Wushuang and he looked reverent. The fear of the 3 Hongjun golden swords was seen in his eyes. It would have been okay if there was only 1. However, the combination of 3, he couldn't resist. If he were to fight with Jian Wushuang, he could only opt for fleeing. As for he could escape, that would depend on his luck. Emperor God Tian Ken and all the Sir Gods were killed. Now, there is only 1 person left. Jian Wushuang's gaze was cold as he looked to the other side of the battlefield. On the battlefield, Emperor God Lu Guang were fighting ferociously with Fortress Master Hong Tian. Of course, Emperor God Lu Guang definitely had the upper hand and she suppressed Fortress Master Hong Tian. Sush, sush. Jian Wushuang and Emperor God Jiao Yin's body appeared on the battlefield. The two people who were fighting instantly stopped. Fortress Master Hong Tian was holding a huge axe in each hand and there was rage soaring from his body. However, his face didn't look good. He had never expected the total of 12 almighties, including Emperor God Tian Can. Such a great formation would be massacred by Jian Wushuang in such a short time. Jian Wushuang's power was much stronger than he had imagined. While the almighties at his side had been killed while Jian Wushuang, Emperor God Lu Guang and Emperor God Jiao Yin had maintained their full fighting force. If the three Emperor Gods were to team up, I'm in big trouble. Fortress Master Hong Tian felt in intense danger. Fortress Master Hong Tian, like I said, I will come to Deluge Fortress and kill all 13 of you. I never go back on my words. Jian Wushuang's voice was cold. Fortress Master Hong Tian's face grew in distress. He glanced at Jian Wushuang and suddenly said solemnly, Jian Wushuang, if I were to swear now that I would stay at the border of eternal chaotic world from today, and as long as lineage of star is there, I will never step foot in the 10 sanctuaries, would you be willing to let me go? Jian Wushuang smirked and said, if it was on Thunderbolt Island and you said so before every expert of Sanctuary Alliance, I would consider it. But now, it's too late. Chapter 1839 Soul Burn. It's too late. Although it was 3 simple words, they seemed to have given Fortress Master Hong Tian his death sentence. It's too late. Fortress Master Hong Tian lowered his head, and he seemed to feel remorseful. However, all of a sudden, Fortress Master Hong Tian's body expanded fiercely and his body was like a ferocious beast from the past, and it dashed out instantly. He then bellowed furiously, then you shall die first. Fortress Master Hong Tian's expression was hideous, like a cornered beast's. His hands then unleashed a ray of black light. The ray of black light was ice cold and it headed toward Jian Wushuang's head immediately with an infinite amount of coldness. The speed of the ray of black light was actually faster than the Hongjun Golden Sword's extremely fast speed. I knew that you would do this. Jian Wushuang's eyes turned grave. He knew that an ancient existence and an overlord like the Fortress Master Hong Tian would not beg for forgiveness like an idiot when he was near a situation where he would die. His begging for forgiveness was simply to create an opportunity to use his own killing move. However, it was a pity that Jian Wushuang had already taken precautions against that a long time ago. The instant the ray of black light appeared, divine power emerged from Jian Wushuang's body and he extended his palm. Ancient God's unique skill, 8 divine mountains. Bang, 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 bang. 8 lofty golden divine mountains landed in front of Jian Wushuang and they acted as layers of defense. Although the speed of the ray of black light was unbelievable, it was not too powerful in terms of power. Hence, after piercing through 6 golden divine mountains in succession, it stopped at the 7th divine mountain. It stopped. Fortress Master Hong Tian's eyes turned scarlet in color. When he saw that Emperor God Lu Guang had already taken form in front of him, he turned his body to the back instantly and escaped hastily. Fortress Master Hong Tian had unleashed a secret skill to escape with all his might. As his speed was extremely frightening, he covered millions of miles of distance instantly and appeared before the purple formation. Break! As Fortress Master Hong Tian looked at the great formation which was formed by the One Realm Pearl, he gave a thunder-like roar and 2 giant axes swung out. For the 2 giant axes, both had the power to split the heavens and earth apart. When they were swung powerfully on the purple energy wall, rumble. The whole formation shook madly. However, it still blocked the attacks of the giant axes in the end. What? Fortress Master Hong Tian's expression changed. He was a peak Emperor God and the attack that he had unleashed was actually unable to destroy the Great Formation in front of him? It should be known that the Great Formation was obviously a treasure that Jian Wushuang had used and it was formed in an instant. As such, logically, it should not be so powerful. Upon seeing that, Jian Wushuang laughed coldly. One Realm Pearl is a treasure that I obtained from the ancient battle, and it came from the ancient past. Although it is not a Chaos Divine treasure, its worth and its effects are greater than that of a normal Chaos Divine treasure. For the great formation that the One Realm Pearl contains, if I were to unleash it with my current divine power, although it would be formed instantly, it would be considered the ravings of a lunatic if it were destroyed by one attack from a peak Emperor God. Jian Wushuang had tested the power of the Great Formation from the One Realm Palace a long time ago. Even if it were him attacking it with his full power, it would still take him 2 to 3 attacks to destroy the Great Formation. As for Fortress Master Hong Tian, his abilities were not as strong as Jian Wushuang's. Let's not give him any chances. Let's attack together and kill him, Jian Wushuang said with a heavy voice. Leave it to me. Emperor God Lu Guang's eyes turned cold and dense white light gathered in her fair palms. A frightening aura was also gathering on her hands slowly. Jian Wushuang's eyes shrank. He knew that Emperor God Lu Guang was unleashing her killing move. Boom! The universe shook. After that, 3 brilliant lusters attacked while illuminating the surroundings. The 3 lusters were not obstructed in the slightest, and they even ignored the spacetime. In an instant, they appeared in front of Fortress Master Hong Tian. Fortress Master Hong Tian was like a lion who was extremely furious, and he activated his secret skill. With that, the 2 giant axes in his hands expanded and he swung them fiercely. Bang, bang, bang. 3 loud sounds could be heard. What followed that were the sounds of Fortress Master Hong Tian spitting out blood. Before Emperor God Lu Guang's killing move, although Fortress Master Hong Tian was a peak Emperor God, he was still seriously injured. Just then, a giant crack appeared at the top of the void abruptly. An infinite amount of purple sacred thunder was also gathering in the crack crazily, and it descended slowly with the power to destroy the world. Ancient God's secret skill, thunder attracting skill. Jian Wushuang's eyes were glowing with a black jade luster, and more than hundreds of life-destroying sacred thunder that had gathered in the crack fused together instantly to form a giant life-destroying thunder dragon. It then descended while roaring furiously, and it covered Fortress Master Hong Tian's body at once. As for Emperor God Jiao, he appeared quietly beside Fortress Master Hong Tian like an assassin, and a noiseless saber light headed toward Fortress Master Hong Tian's nape abruptly. Ah! All of you have forced me to do this. With a loud and furious roar, Fortress Master Hong Tian went insane completely. On his forehead and body, a vein emerged, and it was so hideous that it was frightening. At the same time, the aura on Fortress Master Hong Tian's body rose again. Moreover, its speed of rising was extremely frightening. This is soul burn? Not good. Emperor God Lu Guang's expression changed greatly. Boom! With a loud sound, a fearsome axe shadow split everything in the universe apart and also split the life-destroying thunder dragon, which had descended from the void above, into 2. In addition, the saber light that Emperor God Jiao had unleashed dispersed instantly as well. On top of that, great portions of void burst apart like paper paste. Amidst this frightening divine power storm, a 3-meter-tall body which looked like a demon god stepped forward fiercely. The first person that he appeared in front of was Emperor God Lu Guang. Swish! An axe shadow descended. White lusters then appeared in front of Emperor God Lu Guang immediately, and they acted as protective screens. At the same time, she swung her jade hands abruptly, and her great amount of divine power formed a giant palm print to block the attack from the axe shadow. However, the shocking axe shadow swept past her unreasonably. The protective screens, which were formed by many white lusters, were smashed into pieces instantly, and the giant palm print which accompanied them also dissipated. Umph! With a groan, some blood flowed out from the corners of the Emperor God Lu Guang's mouth, and her body was sent flying. Jian Wushuang, I want you dead! A hysterical voice reverberated across the universe, and the face of the 3-meter-tall, demonic, godlike body had already distorted to its maximum. However, one could still tell vaguely that the demonic, godlike body was Fortress Master Hong Tian. However, he had already become crazy like never before. Boom! After taking another step, Fortress Master Hong Tian, who had already gone insane, appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. Swish! A giant axe shadow descended again. Sword Emperor, be careful. Emperor God Lu Guang warned immediately. What? Jian Wushuang's expression changed. He had not expected that at such a stage, Fortress Master Hong Tian would still able to use some techniques to unleash such fearsome fighting capabilities. However, fortunately, his reaction was fast and he gathered divine power right away. The Blood Mountain sword in his hands then unleashed a frightening sword essence. Reincarnation Sword Principle, 4th Move. Chapter 1840, The Last Counterattack Bang. The loud noise shook the earth. Jian Wushuang's face grew dim. He could feel that the Blood Mountain sword in his hand was extremely unyielding. In the unyieldingness, Blood Mountain sword was slashed to the side and the towering axe shadows containing some power hit Jian Wushuang's body. *T. Emperor God Lu Guang was shocked. Sword Emperor? Emperor God Jiao Yin stared. A terrifying power spread like a rising tide. Jian Wushuang's body quivered and then flew off like a bomb. He flew over 10 of thousands of miles before he regained his stability. When he steadied himself, Jian Wushuang's face was slightly paler than it had been before. Looking at the scene, Emperor God Lu Guang and Emperor Jiao Yin were astonished. Are you joking? Emperor God Jiao Yin looked in disbelief. Fortress Master Hong Tian burned his soul power. It is the strongest attack that he performed with his all. Even Emperor God Lu Guang would have been injured if she took the hit directly. But Sword Emperor, the huge axe hit his body and only his face turned pale slightly? That's it? How is it possible? Emperor God Lu Guang was shocked too. Such a terrifying hit, even though Jian Wushuang had blocked half of its power with his sword, the remaining power theoretically could kill an Emperor God too. In the end, Jian Wushuang merely turned slightly paler from the axe hit. There was no bleeding, let alone spitting blood or being severely injured. Read more chapter on VIP novel. His defense power was this strong? Jian Wushuang looked at the crimson armor surfacing on his body in surprise. The crimson armor was originally blotted with rust. However, when it recognized Jian Wushuang's as its owner, it resumed its original look and became extremely eye-catching, like magma from a volcano. The reason why Jian Wushuang wasn't injured from the fierce hit by Fortress Master Hong Tian was because of the crimson armor. 5-gem armor. Senior Wu Hun really gave me a great treasure, Jian Wushuang muttered. The crimson armor, which was 5-gem armor, was something that had been relied upon by experts in ancient times. Jian Wushuang had obtained only the damaged 5-gem armor and it could only perform less than 10% of its power. Even so, its defense power was far beyond Jian Wushuang's imagination. Jian Wushuang had even thought that the defense power of 5-gem armor then was much stronger than the chaotic divine treasure level armor that Emperor God Tian Shao was wearing back then. In addition to Jian Wushuang's strong divine body, because of his possession of ancient tribe bloodline, he also had 5-gem armor to protect his body. It would be a wild wish if Fortress Master Hong Tian burned his soul power with the intention of killing Jian Wushuang. Sword Emperor, Fortress Master Hong Tian burned his soul in order to explode such ferocious power. However, he who is a peak Emperor God, his soul wouldn't be that strong. The burning of his soul wouldn't last long. We only have to drag him on for a little longer. By then, we can kill him easily. Emperor God Lu Guang shared a message. I understand. Jian Wushuang's gaze fixed upon Fortress Master Hong Tian. He could tell that Fortress Master Hong Tian was totally fighting a desperate fight, like a cornered beast. Die! Jian Wushuang and Emperor God Lu Guang charged at him again. Then, the two of them didn't fight head-on with Fortress Master Hong Tian but indirectly entangled with Fortress Master Hong Tian. As for Emperor God Jiao Yin, his power was weak and any single axe hit by Fortress Master Hong Tian then could severely injure him. He didn't have the guts to bother Fortress Master Hong Tian and he hid far away. **Am not happy. I will not submit. Fortress Master Hong Tian roared. With the burning of his soul power, he wanted to hurt Jian Wushuang and Emperor God Lu Guang badly. However, Emperor God Lu Guang was powerful and her speed was shockingly swift. Fortress Master Hong Tian couldn't touch her at all. As for Jian Wushuang, he was fearless. He was totally confident in fighting Fortress Master Hong Tian head-on. Even if he couldn't match him evenly, it would be impossible for Fortress Master Hong Tian to hurt him. In a short while, Fortress Master Hong Tian roared as his consciousness became blurry. It was the price to pay for burning his soul. One should know that soul was an almighty's foundation, the core item. When divine body was damaged, it could be recovered with the aid of treasure. But when the soul was damaged, it would be a few times more difficult to recover. Fortress Master Hong Tian burned his soul in madness, and he couldn't stop when he ignited the burning. The final outcome would be the complete disappearance of soul. Hence, Fortress Master Hong Tian died. Although his soul power had yet to burn to the end, his consciousness had dispersed due to too much burning. Then, Jian Wushuang and Emperor God Lu Guang stopped. They looked at Fortress Master Hong Tian's aura grew weaker in front of them. Then pissed. A golden light burst out and Jian Wushuang's Hong Jun golden sword pierced Fortress Master Hong Tian's head, then shattered his divine body. An overlord, Fortress Master Hong Tian, who had reached the peak of Emperor God level, had died. When they that saw Fortress Master Hong Tian had finally died, Jian Wushuang and Emperor God Lu Guang both let out a sigh of relief. Peak Emperor God is really not that easy to kill, Jian Wushuang sighed. Fortress Master Hong Tian among peak Emperor Gods wasn't considered the strongest, and he was only on the 36th place on Heaven and Earth's supreme ranking list. However, he had also brought about trouble for them, especially when Fortress Master Hong Tian had risked his all by burning his soul power. Luckily, Jian Wushuang had 5 gem armor to protect his body. Otherwise, his counterattack before his death would pay the price. Soul burn, only an expert whose soul strength has reached a certain level could perform. He at least has to be a peak Emperor God to perform this move. And as peak Emperor God, only under one circumstance would he perform this move, which was when he knew that he would definitely die. He would risk his life to make a final counterattack in order to try his best to kill his enemy. The moment he uses this move, death is his only outcome, Emperor God Lu Guang said. Jian Wushuang nodded in silence. He also could tell that Fortress Master Hong Tian was already hopeless. He had no choice, that's why he had performed that move. Emperor God Hong Tian was a peak Emperor God. His soul power has reached the threshold of this move. However, he is too weak after all. Even when he performed this move, he couldn't bring about damage to us. If it were to be another peak Emperor God who was stronger, the outcome would be beyond our imagination. Or even if it were to be a great emperor who burned his soul in a desperate situation, that would truly be a horror. Emperor God Lu Guang said, and her eyes revealed a tinge of fear subconsciously. Chapter 1841. Abysmal Saint Master, a great emperor using soul burn? Jian Wushuang's body shook as well. With just a mere Fortress Master Hong Tian using soul burn, the fighting capabilities that he had unleashed were already so frightening. If a great emperor were to unleash this move, Jian Wushuang was totally unable to imagine how fearsome it would be. However, great emperor experts stood at the top, and in the eternal chaotic world, wouldn't there be no threats that could force them to that extent? Jian Wushuang asked. Under normal circumstances, it would indeed be impossible. However, in the history of the eternal chaotic world, there was a great emperor who was forced to the point that he unleashed this move. As a result of that, this great emperor fell. As for who forced him to this extent, it was Emperor Bai, Emperor God Lu Guang said. Jian Wushuang was stunned. He knew that Emperor Bai, who was recognized as the strongest person in the eternal chaotic world, had once killed a great emperor. In a situation where he had given up all hope, that great emperor would definitely counterattack by using soul burn. However, looking at it, even though he had used soul burn, he was still unable to do anything to Emperor Bai in the end. Instead, he had died in Emperor Bai's hands. Jian Wushuang and Emperor God Lu Guang was having a discussion. All of a sudden, a powerful aura burst forth abruptly. Jian Wushuang, Emperor God Lu Guang and Emperor God Jiao Yin looked in the direction of the source of the aura immediately. At a void by the side, a white-robed man had just rushed over and he crushed a token right away. The powerful aura had come from the token. After that, Jian Wushuang and the two of them noticed that a dim black shadow was taking shape slowly in the void. After the black shadow took its form, the whole universe fell into complete darkness, and it was so dark that it looked as if the sun could not be seen forever. This aura, in the whole eternal chaotic world, there is only one person who has this aura. Jian Wushuang and the two of them looked at one another and their eyes filled with fear. After that, the three of them greeted the black shadow together. Greetings to Abysmal Saint Master. The Abysmal Saint Master was the great emperor who ruled the Abysmal Sanctuary. At that moment, the consciousness body of the Abysmal Saint Master had descended. Jian Wushuang. A hoarse voice spread across the area slowly. All of a sudden, a pair of sharp eyes from the black shadow pierced the void and looked at Jian Wushuang fiercely. When he was stared at by that pair of eyes, Jian Wushuang's body could not help but shake. Oh, Lu Guang is here as well? The Abysmal Saint Master glanced at Emperor God Lu Guang. Emperor God Lu Guang bowed down immediately to show her respect. As for Emperor God Jiao Yin, Abysmal Saint Master was too lazy to even look at him. Jian Wushuang, Emperor God Lu Guang, all of you have fought your way into the Abysmal Sanctuary without even coming to greet me. Aren't you disrespecting me? The Abysmal Saint Master's voice was ice-cold, and it was impossible to tell whether he was delighted or furious. The hearts of Jian Wushuang and Emperor God Lu Guang felt chilly. There was no choice. After all, they were facing a great emperor, and it was not a normal great emperor. On the Heaven and Earth Supreme ranking list, there was a total of 15 great emperors, and Abysmal Saint Master was ranked third. He was only inferior to the Red Dragon King and the Supreme Emperor by. Abysmal Saint Master, in front of many experts of the Sanctuary Alliance 1 year ago, I said that I would fight my way into the Deluge Fortress within 10 years' time. If I'm not wrong, Saint Master should have heard of this piece of news? Jian Wushuang said. I have indeed heard of it. However, hearing of it is one matter and not greeting me is another matter. Abysmal Saint Master's voice turned heavy and the universe shivered in fear. Jian Wushuang gritted his teeth. Let's cut the crap. I only came here to tell you that since the Almighties in the Deluge Fortress have a grudge against your lineage of star, you can go ahead and kill them and I will not stop you. However, Fortress Master Hong Tian has stayed in the Abysmal Sanctuary for many years and he can barely be considered one of my people. Hence, you are not allowed to kill him. Do you understand? The Abysmal Saint Master said heavily. Upon hearing that, Jian Wushuang frowned. After muttering for some time, he said, Abysmal Saint Master, I'm sorry. You're a bit too late. Fortress Master Hong Tian already died. What did you say? Abysmal Saint Master's sharp eyes changed into two strands of lightning and swept over the area. The lightning struck the void beside Jian Wushuang and cracked open the void completely. However, Jian Wushuang stood upright at his position. Fortress Master Hong Tian has already died, Jian Wushuang said again. Abysmal Saint Master, Emperor God Lu Guang spoke as well. Indeed, Fortress Master Hong Tian has been killed. How can it be so fast? Abysmal Saint Master frowned. The moment he got the news that Jian Wushuang had fought his way into the Deluge Fortress, he got people to bring his token and hurry to the Deluge Fortress immediately. Along the way, there was no delay at all and not much time had passed since then. Looking at it from his point of view, in such a short amount of time, it would be impossible for Jian Wushuang to kill Fortress Master Hong Tian. After arriving at the battlefield, although he did not see Fortress Master Hong Tian right away, he thought that Fortress Master Hong Tian had escaped. However, he did not expect Jian Wushuang to kill a peak emperor god like Fortress Master Hong Tian in such a short amount of time. Jian Wushuang, Sword Emperor, you are really talented. Abysmal Saint Master was ice-cold. Before I took action, I looked at the information of Fortress Master Hong Tian and I thought that Fortress Master Hong Tian was not really related to you, Abysmal Saint Master. As such, I took action. If I offended you, I hope that you will forgive me, Jian Wushuang apologized. Hi, he has already been killed by you. What use is there for me to blame you? The abysmal Saint Master laughed coldly. Forget it. Jian Wushuang. The abysmal Saint Master's sharp eyes looked at Jian Wushuang again, and there was some coldness deep inside his eyes. For the matter this time around, considering the fact that you do not know of our relationship, I shall not blame you. However, I still have to warn you, for whatever you do in the future, you had better stay low. In this period of time, you killed quite a number of almighties, and there are already many people in the Sanctuary Alliance who are dissatisfied with you. As you are a top genius, the Sanctuary Alliance is still able to bear with it. However, if you were to continue your massacre and overdo it, you might go over the limit of the Sanctuary Alliance. At that time, even if we have to suppress our grief, the Sanctuary Alliance will still send experts to kill a top expert like you. You had better look out for yourself. After giving a cold snort, abysmal Saint Master's black shadow started to dissipate slowly. Farewell, abysmal Saint Master. Jian Wushuang, Emperor God Lu Guang and Emperor God Jiao Yin bowed down and looked at the abysmal Saint Master's consciousness body as it started to dissipate slowly. It was not until it dissipated completely that the three of them stood up. The abysmal Saint Master can really hold his temper. Moreover, looking at it, he does not really like me, Jian Wushuang laughed. Dislike you? That's highly possible, Emperor God Lu Guang nodded her head. According to what I know, the abysmal Saint Master has always been extremely envious. Chapter 1842. Rope in Jealous? Jealous of who? Jian Wushuang asked subconsciously. Emperor Bai, I guess. In eternal chaotic world, besides Emperor Bai, who else could make him jealous? Emperor God Lu Guang smiled. As for the reason why he didn't like you, I think you should be able to make a wild guess. Jian Wushuang kept quiet. He heard Emperor God Lu Guang and he naturally understood. Abysmal Saint Master, the third place on Heaven and Earth's supreme ranking list. It was said that he and Red Dragon King on the second place were evenly matched. Because Red Dragon King's defense power was higher, he was listed at a higher rank than him. There was nothing to be jealous about with Red Dragon King. However, it was different from Emperor Bai. Emperor Bai, he was widely acknowledged as the strongest in eternal chaotic world. He was a superb existence that could kill another great emperor. Although abysmal Saint Master was in the third place, he was fearful of Emperor Bai. He couldn't stand the feeling of fear. Hence, he might be jealous of Emperor Bai. As for the reason why abysmal Saint Master was unhappy with him, it was because he was greatly talented and had too great of a potential. Once he received the 7th step of inverse cultivation skill and broke through to being an almighty, he would definitely have fighting power of a great emperor. If he were to improve more, he could easily reach the level of abysmal Saint Master and Red Dragon King. If he were to reach his peak in growth, he could totally become the second Emperor Bai. One Emperor Bai had already made abysmal Saint Master super jealous, but there was another one. From what I know, Fortress Master Hong Tian has nothing to do with abysmal Saint Master. Fortress Master Hong Tian isn't his man. But he descended his consciousness clone for Fortress Master Hong Tian and wanted to stop me from killing him? He was obviously aiming at me. He said earlier that Sanctuary Alliance felt a strong antipathy towards me. I think it was just him alone. If it wasn't me who had barged into Deluge Fortress today but another powerful peak Emperor God, abysmal Saint Master might not care. Jian Wushuang squinted his eyes and said, Very possibly, Emperor God Lu Guang said, and he only descended his consciousness clone after all. It didn't possess any fighting power. If he were to descend personally, he might use that as an excuse to kill you. Maybe because he has scruples with Sanctuary Alliance, he wouldn't kill you directly but he could punish you slightly. It seems like abysmal Saint Master is quite dictatorial. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. Whoever is powerful could be dictatorial. In actual fact, many great emperors of Sanctuary Alliance who are high above are all dictatorial. There is no one who dares to go against their will. Once someone goes against them, punishment is considered a mild treatment. Sometimes, they might even take action to kill some Sir Gods and Emperor Gods. Comparatively, Emperor Bai, who is highest of all, takes note of his identity and almost never descends to punish Sir Gods and Emperor Gods. As for the great emperor that Emperor Bai killed, he was immoderate in conduct and stepped over Emperor Bai's bottom line. Hence, Emperor Bai killed him, Emperor God Lu Guang said. I see, Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. Whatever. I never provoke any of the great emperors anyway. The great emperors shouldn't kill me personally. After all, they have to consider the higher-ups in Sanctuary Alliance who are anticipating my growth. Just like Abysmal Saint Master who didn't like me and didn't want me to grow, he didn't dare to do anything about me in public. At most, he would play some tricks at the back. That's true. Emperor God Lu Guang nodded in agreement. Let's go. Let's leave. Jian Wushuang immediately left with Emperor God Lu Guang and Emperor God Jiao Yin. They drove out from Abysmal Sanctuary at the fastest speed. In the ancient silver spaceship, Jian Wushuang sat together with Emperor God Lu Guang and Emperor God Jiao Yin. As for Jian Yi, he stood by the side politely. It felt great. It was a great fight. 13 Almighties, including Fortress Master Hong Tian, none of them escaped and all are killed. Emperor God Jiao Yin looked excited. Although he was an emperor god and had once participated in many massacres, he had only seen once or twice a scene where 13 Almighties had died together. Plus, the deceased included peak emperor god, like Fortress Master Hong Tian. To be able to kill all 13 Almighties including Fortress Master Hong Tian, such great battle achievement, I have to thank the two of you for your assistance. Thank you, Jian Wushuang expressed his gratitude. I took a chance to avert calamities for others. It's nothing. To be frank, I didn't do much for this fight and I received a chaotic divine treasure. I feel a little embarrassed. Emperor God Jiao Yin rubbed his nose. The biggest killer of the fight had been Jian Wushuang. He had killed more than half of the Almighties alone. Plus, he had performed a great technique to break the formation forceful at the beginning. Then he had killed Emperor God Bing Ken in a short time, which had led to the situation of one-sided domination. It could be said that the fight had succeeded mostly because of Jian Wushuang. Then, there was Emperor God Lu Gang. At the beginning of the fight, Emperor God Lu Guang had suppressed Fortress Master Hong Tian so that he didn't have any chance to attack. Hence, Jian Wushuang, Emperor God Jiao Yin and the 4 silver-armored Dao soldiers could kill all the other 12 Almighties. Lastly, there was Emperor God Jiao Yin. He had only held back some Sir Gods. He put in less effort. Regardless, without both of your help, it would have been impossible for me to kill Fortress Master Hong Tian and the rest. Jian Wushuang smiled and then took out the spear that gave out boundless chilliness. Emperor God Jiao Yin, this is your reward. Jian Wushuang passed the spear to Emperor God Jiao Yin. Thank you. Emperor God Jiao Yin took it and was thrilled. A chaotic divine treasure. Although he didn't use spear as his main weapon, it was extremely precious to him. Looking at Emperor God Jiao Yin's expression, Jian Wushuang asked again, Emperor God Jiao Yin, I wonder if you would be interested in being Lineage of Stars Guest Elder? Guest Elder? Emperor God Jiao Yin raised his eyebrows and smiled. Sword Emperor, how can I? Guest Elder is only a name. You don't have to do anything for Lineage of Star normally. Only when Lineage of Star is in crisis, you lend us a helping hand will do. As for the condition, I will give you another chaotic divine treasure, a defense armor. Jian Wushuang said. What? Emperor God Jiao Yin stunned. Even Emperor God Lu Guang at the side couldn't help but look at Jian Wushuang. Chaotic divine treasure was extremely precious, everyone knew that. Defense armor was even more precious than attack divine weapons. Emperor God Jiao Yin had a chaotic divine treasure levels divine weapon and it was a divine weapon that he was good at. In addition to the spear that Jian Wushuang gave him, he had 2. The combination of 2 was far behind a defense armor. Chapter 1843 Extremely Rich? Sword Emperor, are you for real? Emperor God Jiao Yin's eyes glowed brilliantly and he looked at Jian Wushuang. Of course, Jian Wushuang laughed. Moreover, if you were to be a guest elder of the Lineage of Star, you would also have the chance to cultivate the secret skill of Star Palace of the Lineage of Star. The secret skill of Star Palace? Emperor God Jiao-in's eyes turned red at once and his breathing became heavier. A Chaos Divine treasure-level defense armor was extremely attractive to him. After all, most of the Emperor Gods, which was inclusive of some peak Emperor Gods, did not possess a Chaos Divine treasure-level defense armor. For example, Fortress Master Hong Tian did not have one. Moreover, the secret skill of Star Palace was even more impressive, and even great emperors drooled at the secret skill of Star Palace. As such, he naturally yearned to cultivate it as well. So, as long as he agreed to become a guest elder of the lineage of Star, he would be able to obtain all these? Things were really falling into his lap. Of course, for the secret skill of Star Palace, at the very least, you must become a guest elder of the lineage of Star for 100,000 years and also make some contributions to the lineage of Star before you are able to cultivate it. As for the defense armor, I can give it to you right away, Jian Wushuang said. After taking a deep breath, Emperor God Jiao-in looked at Jian Wushuang again. Sword Emperor, thank you for thinking so highly of me. The conditions that you have given me are too alluring, and I am absolutely unable to find a reason to refuse your offer. However, because of that, I find it a bit embarrassing. How about this? Give me some time. It will not take too long, at most thousands of years. Then, I will definitely come to the lineage of Star, and I will also bring the lineage of Star a great present. With that, I will have the right to become a guest elder of the lineage of Star. No problem. Jian Wushuang's eyes brightened up. After that, he flipped his palm and some black armor appeared in his hands. The moment the black armor appeared, Emperor God Jiao-in's eyes were attracted to it right away. He could already tell that the black armor was of the level of a Chaos Divine treasure. I will give this armor to you first. Jian Wushuang passed the black armor to Emperor God Jiao-in. This. Emperor God Jiao-in hesitated slightly. Sword Emperor, I have yet to join the lineage of Star for real. This armor, it is merely a Chaos Divine treasure-level armor, and it is nothing much. Just accept it, Jian Wushuang laughed. Upon seeing that, Emperor God Jiao-in stopped refusing him. When Emperor God Lu Guang, who was at the side, saw the scene, she could not help but gasp. It is a Chaos Divine treasure-level armor, and you gave it away so easily. You are really liberal with your wealth. Moreover, if I'm not wrong, the armor that you are wearing is of the level of a Chaos Divine treasure as well. But even though some peak Emperor Gods have paid a huge price, it is still very difficult for them to obtain such a kind of armor. For example, Emperor God Tian Shao of the Soaring Heaven King Palace only possessed one because of the great foundation of the Soaring Heaven King Palace, as well as Emperor God Tian Ling. However, Sword Emperor, you alone possess two such armors. This really makes us envious of you. Emperor God Lu Guang, if you really need it, I am willing to give you the same conditions and also add on some Chaos Divine treasure-level attack weapons. Why don't Emperor God Lu Guang come to the lineage of Star and become a guest elder as well? Jian Wushuang laughed. Upon hearing that, Emperor God Lu Guang was attracted as well. From Jian Wushuang's words, she could tell that Jian Wushuang still had Chaos Divine treasure-level armors. Moreover, he had a few attack weapons. With so many treasures with him, he was not concerned in the slightest. This had caused Emperor God Lu Guang to be extremely surprised. In actual fact, Jian Wushuang indeed did not care about those treasures. It should be known that he had searched the ancient battlefield in his hometown for 6,000 years alone. For that ancient battlefield, no Almighties had gone to search it. As such, a large number of treasures and opportunities remained there in one piece. They were all waiting for Jian Wushuang to get them. In just a short 6,000 years' time, he had searched many special pieces. As such, how many treasures and opportunities had he obtained? In particular, in one of the special places, he had obtained a total of 7 Chaos Divine treasure in one go, and there were 2 armors among them. Moreover, including Fortress Master Hong Tian, he had killed a total of 4 Emperor Gods and obtained 3 Chaos Divine treasures. By adding all of them up, Jian Wushuang possessed more than 20 Chaos Divine treasure, and among them, there were 4 armors. With so many Chaos Divine treasure on hand, Jian Wushuang could be said to be extremely rich. As such, he would of course not be stingy with regards to 1 or 2 armors. After all, the lineage of Star's situation then was not normal. If he were able to use 1 or 2 Chaos Divine treasures to win an Emperor God over, he would have benefited greatly. However, it was a pity that Emperor God Lu Guang shook her head and declined. Be it attack weapons or defense armors, I have all of them already. Moreover, I do not like to participate in fights between the powerhouses or sections. Hence, I can only thank Sword Emperor for your good offer. Upon hearing that, Jian Wushuang could not do anything at all. No matter what, Emperor God Lu Guang has helped me greatly this time around, and I will definitely remember this favor of yours. In the future, if you have something you need help with, please go ahead and instruct me, Jian Wushuang said. Emperor God Lu Guang nodded her head. The ancient silver spaceship left the Abysmal Sanctuary in no time. After leaving the Abysmal Sanctuary, Emperor God Lu Guang and Emperor God Jiao Yin bided farewell to Jian Wushuang. Of course, before leaving, all of them exchanged their transmission tokens. Sword Emperor, within the next thousands of years Jiao Yin, will definitely go to the lineage of Star, Emperor God Jiao Yin said earnestly. All right, Jian Wushuang nodded his head. The two of them left in a jiffy, and Jian Wushuang also started to head back to the lineage of Star. In no time, the news of Jian Wushuang inviting Emperor God Lu Guang, Emperor God Jiao Yin, and bringing 4 battle puppets to fight their way into the Deluge Fortress and then killing the 13 Emperor Gods, including Fortress Master Hong Tian, spread. The whole Sanctuary Alliance and the whole eternal chaotic world burst into an uproar instantly. Colored glazed sanctuary within the soaring Heaven King Palace. Emperor God Tian Shao was drinking tea with Sir God Xian Bing and Sir God Qian Ren, who had just joined the soaring Heaven King Palace. At the same time, they were also chatting. That Jian Wushuang is really extremely arrogant. Fortress Master Hong Tian, Emperor God Bing Ken, and the 11 Almighties under them. With such a frightening lineup, even the soaring Heaven King Palace would be a bit afraid of them. However, this brat actually said that he would fight his way into the Deluge Fortress within 10 years? And kill these 13 Almighties? Where did his courage come from? Emperor God Tian Shao snorted coldly. This Jian Wushuang's speed of growth is too fast. Moreover, he killed 2 Emperor Gods previously. As such, he is blind and extremely arrogant. According to what I know, when he made his decision and said those words, he did not consult the Star Palace Master or the Almighties in the lineage of Star at all, and he merely made the decision himself. Who does he think he is? Even if it were the Star Palace Master, I reckon that he wouldn't be so daring as to do that. Sir God Xian Bing laughed coldly. I reckon that the Star Palace Master and the Almighties of the lineage of Star are probably so scared that they are unable to find a place to cry in. Sir God Qianlong sneered. However, just then, a piece of news was sent to the 3 of them at almost the same time. Jian Wushuang has already fought his way into the Deluge Fortress. Fortress Master Hong Tian, Emperor God Bing Ken, and the 11 Sir Gods under them are all dead. None of them has escaped. Upon getting the news, the smile on the faces of the 3 of them, who were originally sneering wantonly, froze instantly. Chapter 1844. Changes in ranking in Sanctuary Alliance. There was a hubbub. Countless experts had heard that Deluge Fortress was destroyed and the 13 Almighties, including Fortress Master Hong Tian, were killed. They were extremely shocked and they couldn't believe it. One should know that there was a powerful formation of 13 Almighties, especially as there was a peak Emperor God, like Fortress Master Hong Tian. Previously, Jian Wushuang had said in front of many experts on Thunderbolt Island that he would go to Deluge Fortress in 10 years. Many sneered at his speech and thought Jian Wushuang was arrogant. Under the condition where the Master of Star Palace was restrained and unable to attack, they didn't think Lineage of Star would be able to destroy the team formation of 13 Almighties. Some were even prepared to make fun of Lineage of Star. But in the end, it had yet to be 10 years. Merely a year later, Jian Wushuang had barged into Deluge Fortress and killed all 13 Almighties, as he had said he would. Even peak Emperor God, Fortress Master Hong Tian, was killed on the spot. It was simply unbelievable. Fortress Master Hong Tian, peak Emperor God, a super expert. How did Jian Wushuang kill him? I heard that Jian Wushuang invited Emperor God Lu Guang and Emperor God Jiao Yin to join him. The three of them joined forces and cornered Fortress Master Hong Tian into a desperate situation. Fortress Master Hong Tian couldn't run at all. He had no choice but could only burn his soul and counterattack before death. In the end he died. After that fight, Jian Wushuang's bad name has reached another level. There should be some drastic changes on Heaven and Earth's supreme ranking list, right? Countless experts were chatting among themselves. The fight where Jian Wushuang had charged to Deluge Fortress had caused a huge scene. In the surroundings of Deluge Fortress, there were naturally experts who were watching from afar. There were even some who had recorded things with a mirroring token. The mirror image of the fight was spreading to the public. Jian Wushuang's performance was too outstanding in the fight. In a short period of time, he had killed Emperor God Bing Ken with thunderous measures. Then he had wiped out all Sir Gods. Then he had joined Emperor God Lu Guang and Emperor God Jiao Yin to corner Fortress Master Hong Tian to his extreme limit. Every scene had astonished the crowd. Especially the three Hong Yung golden swords that Jian Wushuang had used struck fear into many Emperor Gods. Too powerful. The golden swords that Jian Wushuang controls, every sword's attack was like a hit by peak Emperor God. It was unbelievably fast too. I reckon one could easily suppress an ordinary Sir God, but he could control three at once? The three continuous hits could totally suppress a peak Emperor Sir God. Jian Wushuang is much stronger than we had imagined. In terms of power, he was definitely above Fortress Master Hong Tian. Compared to the Master of Star Palace, he isn't too far behind too. The scariest part about him was his hunting power. 3 golden swords, secret skill of ancient god, moon-picking skill, and also the mysterious pearl that becomes formation via his will. Once his opponent's power is below him, his opponent won't be able to escape. His hunting power is too strong. No wonder Fortress Master Hong Tian, who is a peak Emperor God, couldn't escape. Many people were sighing. They were admiring Jian Wushuang's power. Of course, there was something that Jian Wushuang had displayed in the fight that had astonished many of them. It was his defense power. When Fortress Master Hong Tian was forced to his extreme limit, he had burned his soul and wanted to counterattack before his death. The axe that he had swung hit Jian Wushuang's body directly. In the end, Jian Wushuang had merely grown slightly paler. That amazed many of them. The defense power is too strong. The crimson armor that he was wearing is definitely a very powerful chaotic divine treasure. His divine body was shockingly strong too. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to withstand the hits so casually. His close combat skill is already so ferocious and his defense power is so terrifying. Jian Wushuang, everyone complimented. But what they didn't know was that Jian Wushuang's current defense power wasn't at its peak yet. One should know that when he received the ancient tribe bloodline inheritance, Jian Wushuang had comprehended the first volume of the strongest secret skill of ancient tribe, Immemorial Celestial Body. Immemorial Celestial Body could be in the top 10 of countless defense secret skills, even in ancient times. It was definitely the best and the strongest defense secret skill. Although Jian Wushuang had comprehended the first volume from the stone steel, comprehension and cultivation were 2 different matters. He had yet to cultivate it. It was not that he didn't want to cultivate, but he wasn't qualified to. Merely the first volume of Immemorial Celestial Body required at least for one to reach the level of early-stage chaotic realm. In other words, the level of Sir God. As Jian Wushuang was an inverse cultivator, his divine power and divine body could be compared to an emperor god favorably. However, in terms of realm, he was truly just a real god. Hence, even though he had comprehended the secret skill, Jian Wushuang had yet to cultivate it. Someday in the future, when he received the 7th step of inverse cultivation skill and breakthrough to reach chaotic realm, he could cultivate the first volume of Immemorial Celestial Body. In collaboration with 5-gem armor, his defense power would really be terrifying then. Just as the forces and experts in Sanctuary Alliance were astonished by the news about Deluge Fortress Crush and Fortress Master Hong Tian's death. There were some changes in Heaven and Earth's supreme ranking list, as they had expected. And it was a drastic change. After all, ever since Jian Wushuang had started exterminating experts who harbored great resentment against lineage of star, in 10 years' time, there had been 4 emperor gods who died in his hands. The emperor gods were all listed on Heaven and Earth's supreme ranking list. With 4 emperor gods' deaths, there was, of course, a drastic change on Heaven and Earth's supreme ranking list. However, many experts in Eternal Chaotic World only paid close attention at Jian Wushuang's ranking. Everyone would want to know which rank Jian Wushuang, who had massacred for over 10 years and carried such a bad name, would be on the Heaven and Earth supreme ranking list. There were many who started guessing before the ranking changed. In the top of Sanctuary Mountain on Thunderbolt Island, there was an exquisite pavilion. There were 2 Sir Gods who sat together and played chess as they chatted casually. The main topic of their conversation was Jian Wushuang. Judging from the mirror image of him killing Emperor God Bing Can, his fighting power should be extremely strong among peak Emperor gods. He is at least stronger than Fortress Master Hong Tian, so his ranking is definitely higher than Fortress Master Hong Tian. I reckon he would be the 32nd or 33rd. Of course, if he were to be lucky, he might even be in the top 30s. Top 30? Wouldn't that be higher than the Master of Star Palace? You don't think he would go that far up, right? Who knows? We shall see. The great emperors who are the higher-ups of Sanctuary Alliance are more knowledgeable and experienced than us. They could definitely estimate Jian Wushuang's actual power from the fight. There shouldn't be any issue with the ranking list. Very soon, the ranking list was announced. Jian Wushuang, Sword Emperor, Real God Inverse Cultivator, 30th rank. Chapter 1845, Sect Master. Colored Glaze Sanctuary, inside the Soaring Heaven King Palace. As one of the founders of the Soaring Heaven King Palace, Emperor God Tian Shao then was extremely furious. Ranked 30th on the Heaven and Earth Supreme ranking list, the higher-ups of the Sanctuary Alliance actually placed Jian Wushuang in the top 30? Damn it. Even Star Palace Master is ranked 31st and he is 1 position lower than Jian Wushuang. In other words, Jian Wushuang has already surpassed the Star Palace Master? As Emperor God Tian Shao thought about it, flames of fury emerged from his heart. It should be known that more than 6,000 years ago, when Jian Wushuang had clashed head-on with the Soaring Heaven King Palace in the Soaring Heaven Land and Sea Continent, Emperor God Tian Shao had once fought with Jian Wushuang head-on. Back then, Jian Wushuang's abilities were not too different from his. However, in just over 6,000 years, Jian Wushuang had already surpassed him completely to get into the top 30 of the Heaven and Earth Supreme ranking list. At such a level, he could be considered an outstanding figure among the peak Emperor gods. In other words, if he were to come across Jian Wushuang again, there would be no room for him to resist and he could only escape miserably. Moreover, Jian Wushuang's accomplishments were displayed there. For those people whose abilities were weaker than his, it would be next to impossible for them to escape from his hands. This caused Emperor God Tian Shao to be even more furious. Beside him, Sir God Xian Bing and Sir God Xian Ren felt chilly. Originally, they had thought that as long as they were to join the Soaring Heaven King Palace, with their protection, Jian Wushuang would not be able to do anything to them. However, looking at it then, this was not the case. Read more chapter on novel Fleven the Deluge Fortress, which contained 13 Almighties and was overseen by Fortress Master Hong Tian, had been destroyed by Jian Wushuang easily. As for the Soaring Heaven King Palace then, wasn't the number of Almighties it possessed less than that of the Deluge Fortress? Fortunately, the Soaring Heaven King Palace has a great foundation and that great Emperor Colored Glaze has shown herself personally to warn Jian Wushuang. As long as the both of us stay in the territories that are controlled by the Soaring Heaven King Palace, this Jian Wushuang will not dare to be reckless. However, if Jian Wushuang continues growing at such a frightening speed, there will come a day where even great Emperor Colored Glaze will be unable to suppress him. At that time, Sir God Xian Bing and Sir God Xian Ren looked at each other and their eyes were filled with fear. After that, Sir God Xian Bing said immediately, "Palace Master, that Jian Wushuang's speed of growth is too fast and we definitely cannot let him continue growing. Hence, We have to find an opportunity to get rid of him as fast as possible. Of course. Do you think that I need you to tell me that? Emperor God Tian Shao stared at Sir God Xian Bing and his expression turned grave. Jian Wushuang's current abilities are out of the ordinary. The only way that is possible for the Soaring Heaven King Palace to kill Jian Wushuang is to let Big Brother take action personally. Big Brother. As Emperor God Tian Shao muttered to himself, he took out a token and he sent a message to Emperor God Tian Ling, who was still in the second lair. Big Brother, when are you able to come back? That Jian Wushuang's speed of growth is too fast and I am completely unable to suppress him. After the token was silent for some time, a message was finally sent over. I will definitely return within 3,000 years. 3,000 years? Emperor God Tian Shao's heart moved and his eyes revealed a delighted expression after that. Jian Wushuang, I shall allow you to run amok for another 3,000 years. After 3,000 years, when Big Brother takes action personally, you shall die. This was a territory which was concealed deeply and was extremely far away from the 10 sanctuaries. This whole territory was covered by a giant formation, and this formation was not a normal protective formation of a sect. It was a formation that was deployed after depleting a great amount of resources along with many almighties who specialized in formations, as well as 2 great emperor-level experts taking action personally. Hence, such a great formation was extremely powerful. Even if a great emperor were to descend, not only would he be unable to destroy the great formation, his life would be at risk if he were to enter the great formation. In the whole of eternal chaotic world, probably only the great formation in the Thunderbolt Island, which was the base of the Sanctuary Alliance, could be compared to this great formation. As for the large territory that the great formation covered, it was the base of the Holocaust sect. The Holocaust sect was a dark powerhouse which operated beneath the eternal chaotic world throughout the years. Similar to the Acheron Palace, the Holocaust sect was one of the greatest threats to the Sanctuary Alliance. At that moment, at the center of a hall which contained a standalone space in the base of the Holocaust sect, there was huge sacrificial altar which was floating. At the highest point of the sacrificial altar, there was a throne made of ice jade. On the throne, a white-clothed woman whose face was covered by a veil was seated. As the white-clothed woman was covered with a veil, her whole face could not be seen clearly. However, even with just the small part of her face which was revealed, it was enough to captivate countless cultivators. As for the pair of eyes that she revealed, they were ice-cold, like frost on a dried fish. Master, this is the piece of news that has come from the Sanctuary Alliance, and you can take a look at it. A black-robed old woman who was by the side handed a token to the white-clothed woman with respect. The white-clothed woman took the token and scanned through it with her consciousness. Oh! An indifferent voice which was filled with surprise could be heard, and the white-clothed woman's eyes were filled with astonishment. Rank 30 in the Heaven and Earth Supreme ranking list? This is really shocking. As expected of the man of this body of mine. Looks like if we were to clash with the Sanctuary Alliance head-on in the future, he would become a big threat to my Holocaust sect. Master, there are now many people in the Sanctuary Alliance saying that there is a huge possibility of Jian Wushuang becoming the second emperor and this is not good. Hence, we have no choice but to take precautions. If we can find the opportunity, we had better get rid of him as soon as possible, the black-robed old woman said. Get rid of him? The white-clothed woman's eyes turned cold and she shook her head. Assassinating and getting rid of geniuses of the Sanctuary Alliance are things that the Acheron Palace should do, and it is unrelated to the Holocaust sect. Moreover, Jian Wushuang's identity is special. Without my orders, no one in the Holocaust sect is to take action against him. Understood. The black-robed old woman nodded her head repeatedly and she did not dare to go against her. Oh no. How are the preparations with regards to that matter? The white-clothed woman asked abruptly. The preparations are already done. All the experts under the Holocaust sect are in place and everything can proceed according to the plan, the black-robed old woman said. Great, the white-clothed woman laughed. After planning and preparing carefully for so many years, we have finally come to this stage. Send an order that we will proceed according to the plan after 10 days. Understood. The black-robed old woman accepted the order. 10 days later, in the base of the Holocaust sect in the dark region of the eternal chaotic world, a frightening massacre storm burst forth without any warnings. This storm was earth-shaking and countless experts fell in this battle. In particular, out of Almighties alone, more than 30 of them fell. If such a frightening great battle were to happen in the Sanctuary Alliance or the eternal chaotic world, it would definitely result in an unprecedented storm. However, as it had happened in the dark region, it was quiet, as if it had never happened before. After the great battle, in the floating giant sacrificial altar in the standalone space, the white-clothed woman who was covered with a veil still sat like before, and below her legs there were close to 100 experts who had knelt down with respect. "Greetings to Sect Master." The voices shook the heaven. On that very day, the Holocaust sect underwent a great change and a sect master was born. Moreover, the sect master had the surname Lung. Chapter 1846, Massacre in the Past, Part 1. Just as the entire Sanctuary Alliance and the entire eternal chaotic world were shaken by Jian Wushuang received the news himself. 30th place on Heaven and Earth's supreme ranking list? Isn't it above the Master of Star Palace then? Jian Wushuang touched his nose. Besides, Hall Master Yuan sent him the mirror image of the fight in Deluge Fortress. The image only started after the formation around Deluge Fortress was broken. There isn't any record of me using River Mountain Map. Jian Wushuang beamed with joy. Mountain River Map was one of his trump cards. It was naturally best to expose it if possible. In actual fact, it was because he had used River Mountain Map as a welcome gift and broken the formation outside Deluge Fortress that stirred a commotion. When the nearby experts recorded a mirror image, they naturally couldn't record the scene where Jian Wushuang had performed River Mountain Map. This is fortunate. Although I revealed many techniques in this fight, there are still many trump cards that have yet to be exposed. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. No one knew that he had held back during the fight. He had yet to fight all out. He didn't expose all of his trump cards either. Like the Dao soldiers, he had merely used 4 silver-armored Dao soldiers. He had never used even one of the 100 bronze-armored Dao soldiers. Plus, his sword servant whose fighting power was above him, Jin Yi, had never fought either. He continued to keep many trump cards for Lineage of Star. Now my ranking on Heaven and Earth Supreme Ranking list is higher than the Master of Star Palace and my bad name is well known. With my bad name, even if the news about the Master of Star Palace's death spreads, various forces who wanted to pound Lineage of Star will have to think twice, Jian Wushuang muttered. Regardless of the outcome of the fight or the deterrent force of the fight, Jian Wushuang was happy with it. As the 13 Almighties in Deluge Fortress had been killed, the remaining solo experts who harbored great resentment against Lineage of Star were few. Either they sought refuge in greater forces or they hid at the border of eternal chaotic world. Even Vientiane Tower couldn't find them. Read more chapter on novelful. Jian Wushuang could do nothing about it. Hence, he could only return to Lineage of Star first. In Lineage of Star, in the vast void, Jian Wushuang sat on the far highest throne while Hall Master Yuan, Gu Xen and Ye Yun sat below. The 3 Hall Masters were looking at Jian Wushuang with their eyes filled with reverence. In the past dozens of years, Jian Wushuang had stirred a massacre storm in eternal chaotic world with his strong power and ferocious measure. He had killed many solo experts who harbored great resentment against Lineage of Star. His bad name had served as a deterrent to eternal chaotic world. Then he was listed on the 30th place on Heaven and Earth's Supreme Ranking list. With such power and outstanding achievements, the 3rd Hall Masters naturally respected him from the bottom of their hearts. Hall Master Yuan, previously when I invited Emperor God Lu Guang to Deluge Fortress, Emperor God Lu Guang told me on the way that Sanctuary Alliance's higher-ups once had an agreement with the Master of Star Palace many years ago. The Master of Star Palace's action was restricted for the past years. He couldn't massacre with secret skill of Star Palace. What's with this matter? Jian Wushuang creased his eyebrows and asked. Hall Master Gu Xen and Hall Master Nye Yun looked at Hall Master Yuan too. Hall Master Yuan was Universe Galaxy Weapon Spirit. He took care of many things in Lineage of Star, and he knew the most about the Master of Star Palace. It is true, Hall Master Yuan nodded and started explaining the ins and outs. It happened many years ago. Back then, the Master of Star Palace just obtained the secret skill of Star Palace in ancient Mystery Land. After he obtained it, he didn't announce the secret skill to the public. In the end, when Lineage of Star fought with a major force, the Master of Star Palace had no choice but to take action. He fought with a peak Emperor God from the other party. In the beginning, Palace Master was no match for him. He had no choice but to perform secret skill of Star Palace and killed the peak Emperor God in the end. The moment the news spread, Alliance Sanctuary shook and many forces, including many solo experts. There were one or two great emperors among the higher-ups in Sanctuary Alliance who were interested in secret skill of Star Palace in the Master of Star Palace's hand. Of course, the great emperors who were high above didn't force the Master of Star Palace personally, but experts of the other forces have no scruples. Hence, a large number of experts came to threaten and cajole. In short, they wanted Palace Master to hand out the secret skill of Star Palace. However, Master Palace got secret skill of Star Palace from 7-Star Realm. The secret skill couldn't be passed on but could only be inherited in Scripture Depository. Those experts from Sanctuary Alliance wanted the Master of Star Palace to hand out secret skill of Star Palace. In other words, it is to hand out the inheritance of secret skill of Star Palace. Then, Lineage of Star wouldn't be able to cultivate this secret skill. Why would the Master of Star Palace be willing to? Then, Jian Wushuang was surprised. Secret skill of Star Palace could only be inherited in Scripture Depository and couldn't be passed on? However, Jian Wushuang remembered that when he had received the secret skill in Green Fire World back then, he hadn't received the inheritance of secret skill of Star Palace, but he had passed the test of Star Foggy Sea. Then, Lord Spirit Sound, who controlled Star Foggy Sea, had given him a token. In the token, there was the complete secret skill of Star Palace. If secret skill of Star Palace couldn't be passed on and could only be inherited, how could he explain the token? Not only the token that contained secret skill of Star Palace, but also Star Foggy Sea. It appeared in Green Fire World and it isn't ordinary. Jian Wushuang's eyebrows were tightly knitted. Green Fire World was totally sealed off from the outside world. How did Star Foggy World appear in Green Fire World? Lord Spirit Sound. Lord Spirit Sound, who controlled Star Foggy Sea. After Jian Wushuang took control of Star Foggy Sea, she had disappeared. Jian Wushuang didn't know where she went to. There were many situations that Jian Wushuang didn't understand. It was a pity that he didn't think of it back then. The Master of Star Palace had already passed away and he couldn't ask. Then, Jian Wushuang looked at Hall Master Yuan. Then, the Master of Star Palace had no choice but to massacre. Hall Master Yuan said, "Back then, Palace Master also has the fighting power of a peak Emperor God, and he cultivated the second volume of secret skill of Star Palace. When he performed with all his strength, his fighting power had already reached the level of a great emperor. A great emperor carrying out a massacre is a disaster. Most importantly, when Palace Master wandered in 7-Star Realm back then, he absorbed a drop of blood essence by chance." Blood essence? Jian Wushuang was confused. That was blood essence left behind by a top expert in 7-Star Black Sect, and the blood essence was combined with a terrifying power of Star. Chapter 1847 Massacre in the Past Part 2. Due to the drop of blood, the time that the Star Palace Master has when he unleashes the secret skill of Star Palace is much longer, Hall Master Yuan said. Under normal circumstances, after a cultivator cultivates the first volume of the secret skill of Star Palace and activates the star power to unleash the secret skill will only last for 10 breaths time. When the second volume is activated, the secret skill will last for a breath's time. Similarly, the Star Palace Master unleashed the second volume of the secret skill of Star Palace. However, due to the drop of blood, he can continue his massacre for over hundreds of breaths time, or even longer. If he were to not care about the consequences and continue to deplete the drop of blood, Continuing his massacre for hours would not be a problem. As such, when the Star Palace Master went on a killing spree back then and massacred for an hour, he massacred the experts of all the powerhouses to the point that they were all terrified. Moreover, back then, the Star Palace Master had also planned to fight his way into the bases of those powerhouses and destroy all of them. In the end, Emperor Bai from the higher-ups of the Sanctuary Alliance showed himself personally to resolve this matter. Emperor Bai? Jian Wushuang was stunned. According to what he knew, Emperor Bai was a supreme being and on normal days, he would be too lazy to care about the fights in the Sanctuary Alliance. Although the Star Palace Master's massacre back then had caused an extremely huge commotion, was it still not enough for Emperor Bai to show himself? I have no idea why Emperor Bai decided to show himself. However, in the end, with the mediation of Emperor Bai, both parties came to an agreement where, from then on, all the powerhouses and sects are to not think of the lineage of Star's secret skill of Star Palace. Moreover, the Star Palace Master has also been restricted. In the eternal chaotic world, unless the other party comes to his doorstep of their own accord or they are being overly aggressive to the lineage of Star, he must not unleash the secret skill of Star Palace to massacre wantonly, Hall Master Yuan said. Is that so? Jian Wushuang understood. He also finally understood why all the powerhouses in the eternal chaotic world were so fearful of the Star Palace Master. Moreover, even though his ranking in the Heaven and Earth Supreme ranking list then was greater than the Star Palace Master's, he was still not a better deterrent than the Star Palace Master. So it was due to that drop of blood. Due to that drop of blood, the Star Palace Master could massacre wantonly, and that was indeed frightening. If I were to unleash the secret skill of Star Palace with all my might, I would also be able to unleash fighting capabilities that were not inferior to that of a great emperor. However, I could only maintain that state for a breath's time. As for the Star Palace Master, he could maintain it for hours, Jian Wushuang gasped. For a breath's time, even if the other party were to stand still and allow him to kill them, Jian Wushuang would still be unable to kill many of them. However, if it were hours, the Star Palace Master could definitely kill all the enemies who provoked him. After the wanton massacre by the Star Palace Master, a huge grudge was held between the lineage of Star and those big powerhouses, as well as quite a number of experts who traveled alone. Although those big powerhouses and the experts who traveled alone were filled with hatred toward the lineage of Star, they still had their greedy eyes cast on the secret skill of Star Palace. However, due to them being fearful of the Star Palace Master's absolute abilities, no one dared to be reckless. For many years, this has always been the case. However, during the wanton massacre back then, more than half of the drop of blood that the Star Palace Master obtained was depleted. Be it the danger that he encountered while traveling in the ancient mystery land or the lairs, he had also unleashed the secret skill of Star Palace. As such, the drop of blood continued to decrease, and during the past few years, not much of it was left. The moment the drop of blood is completely depleted, the Star Palace Master will naturally lose his ability to frighten others. Then, if the experts from the powerhouses knew about it, they would probably start another great battle, and the lineage of Star will definitely be unable to stop it. As the Star Palace Master knew about this, he tried to make a breakthrough to Great Emperor. It is only by becoming a real Great Emperor that our lineage of Star can rest easy. After hearing Hall Master Yuan's words, Jian Wushuang, Hall Master Gu Xian and Hall Master Shi Yun became silent. Previously, when they had known that the lineage of Star was in danger from Hall Master Yuan's words, Hall Master Yuan had not made the danger clear to them. It was not until then that they understood the point. At the same time, they also understood the Star Palace Master's troubles. In other words, even though I am currently ranked 30 on the Heaven and Earth Supreme ranking list, which is one position higher than that of the Star Palace Master, I am still unable to frighten those experts for real, Jian Wushuang said with a heavy voice. That's right, Hall Master Yuan nodded his head. If you really want to frighten those experts from the powerhouses who have cast their greedy eyes on the secret skill of Star Palace and also have a huge grudge against the lineage of Star, it is still far from enough with the fighting capabilities of the top 30 of the Heaven and Earth Supreme ranking list. What we need is the fighting capabilities of a great emperor and minimally, We would also need to have fighting capabilities comparable to the level of the underworld god. The underworld god? Jian Wushuang squinted his eyes. The underworld god was ranked 16th on the heaven and earth ranking list, and he was the number 1 after the great emperors. As such, he was the strongest expert among the emperor gods. In the 6,000 years that Jian Wushuang had traveled in the ancient battlefield, he had obtained quite a number of opportunities and his abilities had risen considerably compared to the past. Previously, in the battle in the Deluge Fortress, he had also not used his full power. However, even if he were to use his full power, he would still be unable to compete with the underworld god in terms of fighting capabilities. Even Jian Yi, whose abilities were more powerful than his, was still slightly inferior to the underworld god. Fighting capabilities at the level of the underworld god. Although I am unable to achieve it now, as long as I am given time, I will have an opportunity to achieve it, Jian Wushuang muttered. Jian Yi's abilities were still recovering and at then, he had only recovered to middle stage chaotic realm. However, if he were to recover to the peak of middle stage chaotic realm, with his identity of an expert from the ancient past, his abilities would definitely not be weaker than those of the underworld god. Moreover, his abilities might even be more powerful. Palace Master, at present, most of the experts who traveled alone and have huge grudges against the lineage of Star have been eliminated by you. Hence, the remaining ones should be those big powerhouses. However, those powerhouses are not easy to deal with, Hall Master Yuan said. Jian Wushuang also understood. For them to be able to become a big powerhouse in the eternal chaotic world, they were definitely not normal. Perhaps even with the number of almighties that the big powerhouses had on the surface, their abilities as a whole might still be inferior to those of the Deluge Fortress. However, what those big powerhouses were the most frightening in was not the number of experts they possessed. Instead, it was their great foundations. There was a saying that a slight change would affect everything else, and it could be best used to describe those big powerhouses. If Jian Wushuang were to take action against a big powerhouse for real and if he wanted to destroy them completely, the big powerhouse would counterattack. As such, they would use all the resources that they had, as well as favors and friendships that they had accumulated throughout the years to get help from experts. Moreover, there would definitely be many arguments within the Sanctuary Alliance. Jian Wushuang reckoned that if he wanted to destroy a random big powerhouse, it would definitely not be much easier than destroying the Deluge Fortress. Moreover, if those experts who traveled alone knew of teaming up to go against the lineage of Star, those big powerhouses would naturally team up in succession should they smell danger. By then, it would be even more troublesome. Chapter 1848 Weak Point. These major forces couldn't be exterminated. We shouldn't bother with them as of now, Jian Wushuang said. The 3 Hall Masters nodded simultaneously. Hall Master Yuan, there's something you're required to do, Jian Wushuang said. Then, he waved his hands and there were divine weapons and sets of armor that appeared in the void in front of them. The moment the divine weapon and armor appeared, the aura that spread was extremely ferocious. Chaotic divine treasure. They are all chaotic divine treasures. So many chaotic divine treasures? Hall Master Gu Xian and Hall Master Nye Yun were dumbfounded. Palace Master, this is... Hall Master Yuan looked at Jian Wushuang in shock as well. I got these chaotic divine treasures coincidentally. As for where I got it, you don't have to know. You only need to know that I used a chaotic divine treasure level armor as the price to invite Emperor God Jiao Yin to be lineage of Star's guest elder on the way back, and Emperor God Jiao Yin agreed. In a few thousand years' time, he will arrive in lineage of Star, Jian Wushuang said. Emperor God Jiao Yin? He agreed to be lineage of Star's guest elder? That's great. The 3 Hall Masters were filled with excitement. One should know that he was an Emperor God. On the Heaven and Earth Supreme ranking list, there was only a total of 81 Sir Gods. After Jian Wushuang's massacre, there was less. Any Sir God was a supreme overlord that could deter the world. Lineage of Star was up against a great threat, and it was definitely a great incident for a new Emperor God to join them. As for the chaotic divine treasure level armor, although it was precious, it was worth exchanging for an Emperor God. There are 21 chaotic divine treasures, 18 attack divine weapons and 3 sets of armor. I will pass them to you now. Jian Wushuang looked at Hall Master Yuan. At such a crucial moment, Lineage of Star has to make use of all resources. For the upcoming period, Hall Master Yuan, figure out a way to get some solo experts, using these chaotic divine treasure or other resources as a condition. For example, you can promise them that they can cultivate the first volume of Secret Skill of Star Palace if they could work for Lineage of Star for how many tens of thousands of years. With these conditions, invite them to join Lineage of Star and strengthen our overall power. Of course, you don't have to make them agree immediately. After all, they have yet to find out about the deaths of the Master of Star Palace, nor do they know the potential danger that Lineage of Star is in. Even if they agreed now, when the news spreads and the danger descends, the people will regret their choice. So, you only have to get in touch with them now and communicate with them. Let them know that we have the intention to. As for true recruitment, that shall begin after the danger starts revealing itself. Those who agreed then are sincere. Besides, the experts that you invite definitely can't be those who are vicious and commit crimes. Even if they could be beneficial to the Lineage of Star because of rewards given, they will betray trust at crucial times and they might even stab the heart of Lineage of Star. We of Lineage of Star don't need experts like them. I understand. Hall Master Yuan nodded heavily. He naturally knew what Jian Wushuang meant. There were many solo experts in Eternal Chaotic World. They were all kinds of people. Which experts were worthy to invite with chaotic divine treasure or with large amount of resources and which experts shouldn't be taken in, Hall Master Yuan knew very well, and he knew how to do it. Hall Master Gun Exen, Hall Master Nye Yun, Jian Wushuang looked to the other 2 Hall Masters. The 2 of you shall assist Hall Master Yuan in this. After all, Hall Master Yuan is a weapon spirit. His body can't leave Universe Galaxy and he can only rely on token communication. However, there are times where some negotiations will have to be done in person. Then, he'll have to trouble the 2 of you to make trips to see them. No problem, Hall Master Gu Xin and Hall Master Nye Yun immediately agreed. Go ahead, Jian Wushuang waved. The 3 Hall Masters immediately went to carry out their tasks. As for Jian Wushuang himself, to Jian Wushuang, the power increase was of paramount importance. Not only did he have to increase his own, but most importantly, he had to increase Jian Yi's. After all, once Jian Yi's power resumed its peak, it would be peak chaotic realm, also the level of Great Emperor. He was also extremely strong among Great Emperors. By then, with Jian Yi as his trump cards, it would be enough to deter all forces in Eternal Chaotic World. Lineage of Star, on Sword Star. I have killed many almighties. I took many elixirs and treasures that could be used for power recovery. There are some from Lineage of Star as well. There are 2 white blaze fruits for you too. For the rest of the time, you have to try your very best to recover your power. Jian Wushuang looked at Jian Yi and exhorted. Yes, Master, Jian Yi nodded politely. Jian Yi immediately went to cultivate in seclusion. Then, Jian Wushuang went to another secret room as well. Before the danger descends, I already did everything that I could for Lineage of Star. Now, I have to prepare for the upcoming war that is going to explode, Jian Wushuang muttered. It's a pity that I am a real god and I have yet to obtain the 7th step of inverse cultivation skill. Hence, I couldn't be aiming to become an almighty. As for my power, I have already increased whatever I could. It is almost impossible for me to increase my power tremendously in a short period of time. Hence, the only thing that I can do now is to figure out ways to compensate for my weak point. Weak point? Jian Wushuang did have a weak point then. His weak point was his soul. His soul strength was maintained at the extreme limit of real god. Such a soul power wasn't weak in his realm. However, his current weakest opponent would be a Sir God and he often fought with Emperor gods as well. Luckily, until then, he had not come across any Sir Gods of Emperor Gods who had focused on soul attacks like Sir God Tian Yuan. Hence, no one did soul attacks to him. But once he came across one, a soul attack of Sir God level, he might be able to struggle for a while. But if it was an Emperor God who was good at soul attacks that attacked him, Jian Wushuang was not confident that he could withstand it. Hence, before Lineage of Star became a public enemy, he had to improve his weak point. Voila! Jian Wushuang waved, and there were a bunch of elixirs for enhancing soul power and many natural treasures that appeared before him. Most of the treasures were extremely precious, and there were a few kinds that were worth more than tens of thousands of doctrine gems. Jian Wushuang prepared them carefully. Before the news about the Master of Star Palace's death spreads, my soul must break through. Let's begin. Chapter 1849 Substance-like Soul. Before the upcoming danger, with Jian Wushuang as the backbone, the few higher-ups of the Lineage of Star were completely united. After Hall Master Yuan, Hall Master Gu Xian and Hall Master Shijun had obtained a large number of Chaos Divine treasure from Jian Wushuang. They had gotten in touch with some experts that had good conduct and also traveled alone. After that, they revealed their intentions to invite them to the Lineage of Star. Moreover, this step was carried out secretly. Everything went on as they had expected, and it was carried out step by step. As for Jian Wushuang, he was using his full power to raise his own soul power. As for Jian Yi, he was doing his best to recover his abilities. Time passed by quickly, and in a flash, 800 years had passed. In a secret room in the Sword Star. I have made it. Jian Wushuang opened his eyes, and they were filled with delight. In his sea of consciousness, there was originally a pile of soul fire that was burning vigorously. The soul fire had undergone a transformation to become a substance-like soul. This substance-like soul was also a shadow, and it looked like a baby. However, its quality was completely different. Substance-like soul. Jian Wushuang's soul power had finally made a breakthrough to achieve the level of an almighty. This stage was actually a critical stage for many real gods to make a breakthrough to become an almighty. Quite a number of real gods had already fulfilled the conditions in other areas. However, as they were unable to form the substance-like soul, they were unable to make a breakthrough to become an almighty. However, Jian Wushuang, as an inverse cultivator, he had already lit the soul fire when he was a Tao master. Moreover, as he had also cultivated the universal Tao scripture, his soul power was nurtured and hence increased continuously. As his abilities rose, his soul fire became more vigorous, and it achieved the limit of a real god. After training with great effort for 800 years and also with the aid of many treasures, his soul fire finally completed its transformation. The moment it made a breakthrough, Jian Wushuang realized that his own substance-like soul was a lot stronger than that of normal cultivators when they made a breakthrough to the same stage. It was not just in terms of quality. It was also in terms of how vast the soul power was. When a normal cultivator had just formed his substance-like soul would at most be of the size of the fist of a baby. Moreover, it would also be invisible. It was only by continuing to improve it in the future that the substance-like soul would become clearer and its volume would increase as well. However, his substance-like soul then was of the size of the fist of a baby, and it was also extremely clear. In terms of quality, it was also a lot better. Perhaps this is due to me nurturing the soul power step by step, starting from when I was a Tao master, Jian Wushuang murmured. However, no matter what, the moment his substance-like soul was formed, his weak point was made up for by a great extent. For him then, it would probably be difficult for the soul attack of a normal Sir God to affect him. As for an Emperor God-level soul attack, although it was still a threat to him, the threat was not as great as before. Moreover, when he traveled alone for more than 6,000 years in the ancient battlefield back then, among the large number of opportunities and treasures that he had come across, there was a special treasure. It was a ring, and it was known as the Soul Ring. This soul ring was worn by Jian Wushuang on his hands, and it should be a kind of treasure that defended the soul. However, it was a pity that it was partially destroyed, and it was far from able to unleash its power when it was at its peak. However, it was still able to defend Jian Wushuang considerably. With the substance-like soul formed and the soul ring to act as a defense to my soul, my current soul defense is definitely not weaker than that of a normal emperor god. Moreover, I still have time and I am still going to improve it, Jian Wushuang laughed. In no time, he closed his eyes and continued to improve his soul. His substance-like soul had just formed and it was still extremely weak. Hence, there was naturally a huge room for improvement. Time passed by. In a flash, 1,800 years passed. By adding the 500 years from before, Jian Wushuang had already secluded himself in training for 2,300 years. However, he had still not come out of seclusion. Just then, in the Purple Moon Sanctuary, in another land in the Purple Moon Sanctuary which was known as the Red Glow Land. The overlord of the Red Glow Land was the Red Glow Fairy Palace, and it was a powerful powerhouse which could compete with the lineage of Star head-on. In the giant, ancient Fairy Palace, there were many high summits that stood upright. At one of the peaks of the lofty summits, there was an exquisite bamboo house. In the open space in front of the bamboo house, there was a white-robed married woman who was sitting down quietly, and she was knitting a green upper garment. The cloth that she used was obviously the normal kind. However, more than half of the green upper garment that was knitted was unusually smooth. Moreover, its color was also comparable to that of a warm jade, and it looked good as well. Just then, swoosh, a purple-robed figure appeared at the summit abruptly and came before the white-robed married woman. It was a dignified purple-robed woman, and she was emitting an impressive divine power. She was a Sir God expert who had reached her peak. Mother! The palace master who took charge of the Red Glow Fairy Palace was Sir God Qifeng, and she was greeting the white-robed married woman with respect. The white-robed married man did not turn her head to look at Sir God Qifeng. Instead, she only cared about herself and continued to knit the clothes. However, she opened her mouth and said, "I have just gotten a report from the Great Elder and her group of people. She mentioned that our Red Glow Fairy Palace has some conflict with the Soaring Heaven King Palace during this period of time." Mother knows about it already? Sir God Qifeng's expression changed. "Tell me, what is going on?" The white-robed married woman asked. This matter started because of Sir God Xianbing. Mother also knows that Sir God Xianbing once had a grudge against the Red Glow Fairy Palace and that the Red Glow Fairy Palace has always wanted him dead. However, now that Sir God Xianbing has joined the Soaring Heaven King Palace and that he has the Soaring Heaven King Palace supporting him, he totally does not care about the Red Glow Fairy Palace at all. Don't you think that this is infuriating? Sir God Qifeng said. Sir God Xianbing. He has actually joined the Soaring Heaven King Palace? Moreover, the Soaring Heaven King Palace has also agreed to take him in? The white-robed married woman revealed a surprised expression. Mother, you have always stayed here to train and you have never asked about the world's affairs. Sir God Xianbing has been forced by the Sword Emperor of the lineage of Star to the point that he had no way out. Hence, he decided to join the Soaring Heaven King Palace. Sir God Qixing gave a simple explanation regarding what had happened during this period of time, especially Jian Wushuang's wanton massacre. After talking, did you say that it is not just the Sword Emperor himself and instead, the two other Sir Gods of the lineage of Star are also hunting some real gods who have a grudge against the lineage of Star wantonly? The white-robed married woman stopped her hand movements, and she looked in the direction of Sir God Qifeng. That's right. In that period of time back then, the lineage of Star was indeed massacring wantonly. However, perhaps due to them having gotten rid of most of the experts who traveled alone already, they had quietened down. However, not long ago, I heard that the lineage of Star had the intention of recruiting some experts. I really have no idea what they are trying to do, Sir God Qifeng said. Oh, the white-robed married woman raised her eyebrows. After muttering to herself for some time, she revealed a strange smile. I understand now. No wonder they are doing this. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.